We are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicenda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing designers find great players who love their games and help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love. We do that in a lot of different ways, but the number one most fun way we do that is just sitting down with the creators of those games, or in today's case, supplements, and play through some of that content with them. Today, we are playing 13HUNTERS using our house sci-fi OSR system through the Void. But let's find out a little bit more about 13HUNTERS. Nuclear, I didn't prep you for this at all, but why don't you tell us a little bit about 13HUNTERS, what it is, where people can find more information about it.
Sure, absolutely. So 13HUNTERS is a kind of like a monster manual, but what it contains is 13 dossiers of bounty hunters and mercenaries and other soldiers of fortune for your sci-fi slash fantasy slash sci-fantasy tabletop game. They're very dangerous and they want to kill you very badly. To to ease their hunger for blood, check out ttrpg.link /13H. Which I'm sure is on the screen somewhere.
It is. It's right below. It's right below Christian's head. Speaking of which, Christian, after you point right below your head, why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, where people can find you online?
Hi, I am Christian Sorrell. My name on a lot of things online is Meat Castle. So far, I am pretty much a newbie, relative newbie to the scene. I have written a pamphlet adventure for Mothership. I have a larger battle royale zine kickstarting right now as part of Zemo for Mothership as well. And yeah, this is my +1 debut. So thank you for having me, Tony. Thank you for just being like, I'll let this random guy on.
Everyone starts out as a random person until they're not, you know. And they're either a random person you hang out with again, or they're a random person that you never hang out with again. Either way. You're no longer just a random person. And so I am super excited about your project also, too. We're going to do a Mothership roundup pretty soon on our coverage, but I'm hoping we can get you on to play it at some point in the future also, too, because I do love the idea and love the flavor that it brings. So very excited to have you sit down and play with us today as well. Let's meet our other player who's currently with us. We may have Sam Sorensen, head of the GOAT, joining us in a little bit. They were up late last night, so we're hoping everything is okay and that they join us soon. But if not, we're still going to have a great time. In the meantime, Simon, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? My name is Simon. My pronouns are he, him. You can find me on Twitter at Lucha Libris. I write and publish tabletop role-playing games at colorspraygames.itch.io. I wear a lot of hats on the internet and offline, in addition to my game design content. I also stream role-playing games with the All Nerds Here network on Twitch, as well as doing a bunch of GMing work for Magpie Games and a moderator for their Discord. And you can find my work in a bunch of other places, kicking around, some that I can talk about and some that I can't yet. But those little delicious NDAs. Yeah. I also do voices on the queer sci-fi and fantasy audio drama, the Penumbra podcast. So if you want something to listen to in these trying times, go check it out. I really appreciate it. And I am just pleased as punch to be here. Potentially at some point doing some Through the Void writing too.
No, I'm super excited. We're going to have you set for when we actually go to do our print run. We just did our beta for it. It's been a lot of fun to develop Through the Void post doing Down We Go, but I can't wait to see what you throw into the universe also too, which you're going to get you today. Yeah. One of the best things for anybody who's not familiar with the system that we're going to be using Through the Void, it is a sci-fi RPG using the Together We Go system, which is very rules light. The core rules and character sheet all basically fit on a half sheet of paper. Through the Void also has ship rules, which are another sheet of paper, but everything is very kind of isolated, procedural, and then you're able to kind of just build things out very modularly as you go to create exactly the table experience that you want to. But it's all set around this giant, swirling, singular space station that's the only thing left after a bunch of wars have decimated the rest of the sector. And it's the place that all different cultures and races have come to find home. There's plenty of clashing within that, but it's usually person to person, not culture to culture. Most of those things have kind of fallen by the wayside, but you still have people who are just trying to make it through the day. Things are lethal and hard when you're out in the void on your ship. visiting lunar colonies or other stuff like that. When you're back at Eternus, which is where you guys are going to be returning to, and where we're going to spend most of our time for this session, things are organic and cacophonous and alien and a blend of kind of retro futuristic tech and alien bizarre pieces dropped into the middle of that. But at the end of the day, everybody is trying to survive, which means some people are using other people. There's a lot of kind of power systems at play, and a lot of those are determined kind of as we go through the course of play. We didn't talk about it a lot beforehand. I'm going to assume the debt for your ship, which is a coaster class ship, is kind of shared by the crew, that you guys each own a portion of the debt. That is a fairly egalitarian setup, that no one is necessarily the captain or saddling that. We'll just have you owe it to IBA, which is the interplanetary bureaucracy agency, basically, that kind of leases out ships for people to use. And as long as you pay them back, they won't bury you in paperwork and throw you in jail. And if you fail to pay them back, they will bury you in paperwork and throw you in jail. But I don't think that's going to come up into huge play today. Y'all have been out on a scouting mission. Y'all are kind of a recon and surveying ship that does some salvage as part of that, kind of checking out some of these different ruins. You guys were recently in a system that was adjacent to orb space, which is an area a lot of people don't travel into. It's a planetary cluster where there's a lot of kind of old planetary ruins. Some people still live on it, but they're very sparse as far as population goes, because a lot of the different systems that keep those planets running have started to dilapidate and fall apart as the population has left for Eternus also too. As you were on this adventure, you guys had come across a number of different things that we'll kind of establish in just one moment. But we see you kind of in transit on the way back. You have one refugee with you that's in the makeshift med bay that y'all have, kind of in a under sedation and stasis, as well as a few other things that we'll kind of determine through play. But why don't we go ahead and talk about where each of you are at in the ship, kind of going about your normal everyday duties in let's say it's going to be a 2-day trip back. Where are we going to, just give me a scene of where we kind of first see your character as we cut in, introduce them to us, and tell us a little bit about them. Let's go in the reverse of how we went the first time. So Simon, let's go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, sure. So I am playing Glitch, who is a andromorph with levels in tech, one of the 4 specializations in this game. Quickly so andromorph, do you imagine them as like being full-on robots or cyborgs or...
So Andrew Moore, again, there's not a set canon for this. The background, basically means that I think some of them are a little bit of each. So some of them might be machines with organic parts. Some of them might be organic creatures with machine parts. Some of them might be entirely mechanized, except for a few elements of kind of human imprintation or sentient imprintation that have been put upon them. So you're welcome to kind of cast that how you want. The important thing to know about them is they have a lot of mechanical features in their body that every once in a while kind of let them overcome certain elements a little bit more easily. And so so however you want to paint Glitch, you can feel free to paint them that way.
Great. I think the sort of in the TV show of the game, the camera would be kind of on a wide shot that is sort of slowly panning through the engine room of the ship, and we see a tall sort of unusually shaped humanoid figure that kind of has like bulky shoulders and then tiny waist and then big thighs that kind of taper down into points, from behind, sort of hunched over a terminal, like clicking away. And then when we see Glitch from the front, they are sort of a very heavily modified humanoid of some kind, like human face, but with sort of one of those bubble dome kind of helmets that starts at the nose and kind of wraps around the rest of the skull. So no clear eyes, so much as just like a sheen of old like plastic, like dark plastic, skin on the face, and then everything else is just like neoprene and rivets and
Love it.
bolts. I'm imagining, if anyone knows like things about Warframe, I imagine kind of like the Grenier. So like that kind of weirdly organic technical look with like segments that divide things. Like here's a rib cage that looks kind of like it's made of cyber flesh, and
Awesome.
then big bulky plating around it and stuff like that. And just like gingerly typing away on a terminal running diagnostic scans.
Awesome.
Because Glitch does work as the mechanic for the ship.
So you're the mechanic on the ship. Taking off from the planet, there was something that made it especially difficult to exit the atmosphere from the planet y'all were sent out to survey. What was the thing that made it hard to exit, and what impact has it had on the ship? Why are you currently having to go through this process of continually monitoring the systems?
I think we were on some kind of jungle planet, and what we didn't expect was the ambient life on the planet was extremely virulent, and like in some cases very like hyper aware. So like vines and moss just rapidly started growing up and into the landing gear and like into the ship's systems as a result of it. So when we had to take off, we tried to, and the landing gear doesn't want to pull up because these vines are like trying to pull the ship down onto the planet's surface.
Awesome.
So we had to like burn atmosphere. So Glitch has been like going through and like cutting out vines and stuff that keep popping up, or like spores get into the ventilation system or something like that. And so just like weird plant dust starts chugging out.
Awesome.
Things like that.
I love it. So yeah, you're still kind of dealing with this ongoing process of checking, have we gotten rid of all these spores? Have all the vines departed? Like having to every once in a while go to a different part of the ship, pull out a surgical flamethrower and kind of burn some of them out, cut some of them out, deal with it as an ongoing issue. Awesome. Love it. Let's talk to Christian next. Tell us a little bit about Anders. Is it Anders?
Yeah, Anders. Yeah, I am playing as Anders. I think that I am in the cargo bay, as far away essentially as I can get in there from the med bay, where we mentioned the refugee being sort of like kept. I think that in my mind, Anders looks almost exactly like the character from the Matrix sequels that comes up and is like, Neo, the little kid in Zion. He's I think a little older than that, a little more worn, but he has that very sort of like lean, lanky, like very like tank tops with like suspendery kind of straps. He has like low light goggles, like a mesh jacket that is kind of over that more like workmanly outfit. Definitely has kind of a worn traveler kind of look, but I think it definitely has that like younger lanky thing. He's just leaning back against the cargo bay, kind of just like has a little bit of like a nervous energy, kind of like shaking a leg kind of a thing. His background is mystic. So the mystics thing is I've sensed something, detect thoughts or danger. I think he leans more on the thoughts end of that spectrum, and just being near someone going through like physical trauma, like I imagine this person in the med bay is sometimes not great for him. So he's trying to like distance himself from having to experience that. And then he has one level in recon and one level in medic. So yeah, he's kind of more field medic, like almost like a guy who would go out with a hiking group and be a medic in that way. But he's kind of become the de facto ship doctor because there's just nobody else who's better at it than him.
Love it. So let's talk about this person that you brought back. They have this kind of like very emaciated flesh. You found them like sealed into something that looked, you couldn't quite tell whether it was an old cryo tube or a coffin. It had kind of a stone work quality to it. There was this kind of crystalline clear panel, and it very much rode the line between is this a piece of old tech, or is this a place where someone was buried or interred? But you could see them breathing with this breather mask underneath. They have kind of bluish greenish skin, very emaciated. When you found them, they were clutching something in their hands. Tell me a little bit about what they were clutching in their hands.
I just given the rest of that imagery that you laid out, I like the idea of them clutching a similarly. Is this some sort of more modern synthetic make, or is this very, very old book, like a physical book, not like a data pad, but something that has a very heavy sort of maybe plastic, maybe stone, maybe metal, like binding on the outside, like a strap around it, but they're like physical pages.
Have you watched it? Is what is it? Is it Raised by Wolves? Is it the new sci-fi the Ridley sci-fi series that's out right now? Anyways,
Yes,
it's very, very good. I very enjoy it. But they have like it's playing absolutely well in the religion sci-fi fantasy thing. They have these old like metal, almost like tarot cards, but sometimes they'll have like books of them and they have like data on them. Maybe it's something in that realm where it's like a bound set of something where it's like I don't know exactly. I don't know whether these are just images on this thing or whether this is something else at this point in time.
Yeah, I think it very much fits with it where we found this person, but it's something that probably just by looking at it we can't decipher right now. Like it isn't like we opened it and read it. It's in whatever language we all speak and read.
Where is it being kept right now on the ship?
I think I probably would have sided with Glitch's opinion, being the tech, and thinking this may be on the tech side, just being like, we should probably keep this someplace safe and on its own because it looks old, but I wouldn't have acted to know where it should go.
We have a cargo bay of some kind, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably in the cargo bay in like a containment unit of some kind. I think we probably have some kind of unit for like organic samples.
Yeah,
like,
and a
like
lot
an
of what y'all
acrylic
brought
case or
back,
something.
a lot of what y'all brought back are organic samples, and a lot of what you've been pulling out of the ship has been going in that same organic sample space if it seems to not be completely threatening to you. So absolutely.
There's like a shot in the cargo bay of like all the usual like crates and loading equipment and whatever junk. It's some things like draped with tarps, and all of that's in like dark lighting because there's cinematic underlighting under the containment unit that has this book thing in it to show that it's like, oh, this is interesting.
Awesome. No, yeah, I love that. Excellent. So, also I will say this, Anders, as much as you are used to that, like when somebody's experiencing pain, you get a little bit of that tinge and touch of that. Though this person was unconscious when you found them, and they are still unconscious, they don't seem to be necessarily experiencing trauma or pain. As a matter of fact, they're almost something of a null space for you, which you'll experience every once in a while, but it is very uncommon for you to like experiencing this smaller thing, even for someone who's sleeping, because usually you'll get a sense of like nightmares every once in a while or other things like that. This individual has been largely just like nothing from them.
Silent on that side of my.
But again,
sense,
not the only time you've ever encountered it, just very, very rare. And so let's go up to Zoe. So Nuclear, tell us a little bit about Zoe and what we see and where we see them on the ship.
Sure. So I think in the ship's very cramped galley space, what serves as a galley space, every pot and pan that we have is clattering right now as Zoe is cooking something. A host of indecipherable ingredients, among them most likely some roots from the low containment field in the cargo bay has made its way up here. The smell is interesting. Probably see him, I don't know, like a pot or some used measuring cup or something like that teetering on the edge of a counter, and it falls off, and Zoe catches it before it hits the ground without looking, continuing to just sing a sort of strange drawling song atonally. Zoe himself is sort of long, no hair on his entire body. Think like Peter DeVries from the new Dune, complete with non-specific geometric facial tattooing. Yeah, just not a care in the world.
Awesome. I have a question for you. Think about it for just a second. And I'm going to say a couple things. So we see a pot starting to like stir, and for a second it's unclear exactly what's causing it. But what is causing it is the small animal or creature that you found on the planet that you have brought that has emotionally at least attached itself to you. And you can decide whether you love it, it just loves you. You both love each other. But tell us a little bit about the creature that's about to pop out of this space.
Yeah, just a small kind of. I'm thinking that strange little dog creature from Jabba's palace.
Awesome.
Just a little ratty thing.
A little
Salacious
ratty,
Crumb?
Salacious Crumb.
Yeah, yeah,
Salacious
yeah.
Crumb, like a little space chihuahua, like pops its head out of this pot. By the way, Adventures Archive, thanks for the raid. We're playing Through the Void, but we're specifically exploring some of the content in 13 Hunters, which is a phenomenal supplement for bounty hunters by Nuclear, who was just talking. Also, Sam is going to be joining us, I think, in just a second. If you want to have him just hop in to the chat whenever he's ready, we'll just take a short little break. I'll move things around and we'll hop back in if he whatever he's ready. Tell him not to kill himself to get on. But yeah, you have this little space chihuahua all of a sudden like pops its head out. Where did you find this creature at on the planet? Paint me that scene.
I think Soy was probably hunting for some ingredients, maybe tasting local fauna or flora, not fauna, a little too liberally for total like xenobiology. And maybe it sort of just like came out of a hole in the ground. It just disturbed its house or something, and it maybe imprinted on him.
I love that. How does Zoe feel about that imprinting so far? Like, has Zoe received this well? Are you ambivalent to it? Are you equally doting on this thing?
I think it's a strange mixture of doting, like, oh, look at this cute little raggy thing. What is it doing here? And like I'm kind of trying to find an opportunity to get it into the cooking pot.
Like, if you can get this thing into the pot, it's going to get cooked. But until then, you're happy to scritch it behind its ears and give it treats and see if it dies or not from eating whatever the food is beforehand.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. I love that flavor and feel. So we kind of have these scenes, these events. Y'all are going to go through your days. You can if you guys want to stop and do something on the way back, let me know. Otherwise, you're going to have 2 days in transit. I'm going to have you guys. I'm going to have one of you roll a D10. Probably not for that first day, for the second one. But we'll address that when we come back in just a few minutes after I've got Sam's character dropped in, and then we'll meet him. We had a player who is running just a few minutes late. We went ahead and started without them because we hadn't heard from them. We're going to get them added in, and we'll be right back in just a moment. And we are back better than ever now that Sam Sorensen has hopped in with us. Rather than have Sam introduce themselves immediately at the moment, I will tell you Sam is the editor for 13HUNTERS also too, as well as has another project up right now called Time After Time over on Kickstarter. You should go check out all those things. We'll get a chance to talk about them a little bit more later, as well as Sam's Twitter handle is, just like all of ours, is on the screen right below their beautiful face. Sam, why don't you tell us a little bit about Jawbone, where we see you on the salvage / recon ship that y'all have, that is currently, having left the jungle moon that you were on, dealing with a spore infestation and vines that keep on creeping in, that Glitch has it in hand, with food being cooked in the kitchen by Zoe and their new cute little animal that is attached to them, that looks kind of like a space rat chihuahua creature, and Anders is dealing with a refugee you found sealed in kind of an old piece of, can't quite tell whether it was tech or tomb on the planet that you were at, but is kind of caring for them but also kind of avoiding them. I think that was really good quick catch up on all of the things that we had talked about so far, but if I forgot something, well, then I'll just come up as we play. Why don't you tell us what we see and where we see Jawbone on the ship?
I think before you see Jawbone, you all hear him, as you just hear a low just coming from somewhere within the bunks of the ship, and then staggering out in like combat pants and like a bandolier full of ammo and nothing else is a sort of hungover, staggering, like hair all askew, still got a cigarette in his mouth, just greasy, grungy, sort of ex-soldier comes staring at us. Just
and I heard correctly, a bandolier and nothing else. Is that correct?
A bandolier and like maybe some like I'm imagining like
No, I was here
shorts.
for and nothing else. I think that's a great.
Okay, great.
If this is a PG,
if
this is a TV, a primetime TV show, we're just seeing the back of the body shot as he walks around, but we all get the clear sense of what's happening.
So he comes staggering out, still got a cigarette in his mouth, staggers into the kitchen, looks at Zoe, looks at the thing, says, "Where'd you get a rat?"
Oh, from the planet? I was thinking it could go into the pot. I think it's trying to convince me to not do that. Here, try this. Do you think it needs creature? And I just animal ladle of something.
I think it's fun, honestly. Although, do what you think is best.
You're lucky, says to the little rat thing.
So Jawbone, if you don't mind taking on the role somewhat of pilot, anyone can pilot the ship, but if you, when you were taking off from this jungle planet, as everybody else was loading up, you took care of the ship for the most part, / were in various stages of awake / not awake. But as you were taking off, you swear you saw something coming up out of the ground on the planet, that as you guys were pulling away. What have you told everybody else about what you saw, and how willing do you think they are to believe you so far?
I think I mentioned it, and I just did an absolutely terrible job of describing what I saw. I think I was like, when we were taking off, the ground was moving. There was like it was getting further away or closer to us as we got away. There was something on the ground, like the ground.
Awesome. You've had that conversation a couple times to varied reactions. Every time I think you tell the story a little bit worse. Like I said, you guys have a couple days going back. There's repairs that'll be underway that Glitch will be taking care of. You've got this creature kind of under sedation, or this individual under sedation in the makeshift med bay. There's all the normal parts of shipboard life. Is there anything you want to do on basically your extra day that you have before you get back to Eternus?
I think since Glitch has been dealing with the vines and stuff that grew into parts of the ship, Glitch probably gives more credence to the idea that something on the ground that might have been the ground got on the ship, more credence than the rest of the crew might. Not by much. So I'm imagining that there's a moment where in the routine work in the engine room and things like that. At some point, like Glitch goes over to the terminal and is just mumbling to themselves, like, it's simply not possible. Just to remove all doubt. Let us truly see. One more time. Leans over the terminal and is like running life sign scans to make sure that there are in fact the four of us plus our crew member plus our like refugee and nothing else.
Right.
Because like, you know, plants and stuff, I'm sure that shows up as a certain thing, but
Yeah.
not
Do you
on a certain
do you have an
magnitude.
ability you want to use for this, or do you want to just make an X6 roll?
Well, this would have been super cool if I'd taken analysis.
Yeah.
But I'm imagined Glitch initially as more of like the rogue / hacker type. So
Sure.
I have hack and repurpose.
No, that's great.
So I think this is just a roll.
Yeah, go ahead and make an X6 roll for me. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll a D6. Higher is going to be better, but this is well within your wheelhouse. So I think we're gonna start out with this being a 4 out of 6. So as long as you don't roll a 1 or 2, you're not going to get a bad result. But you're always looking for higher to get better certainty or other things also too. So go ahead and roll a D6 for me.
All right. Survey says 4.
So you run the system. Everything seems normal. You can, you even like you kind of refine it to pick up the little Zoe. What's the creature? What have you been calling the creature so far?
Rascal.
You've refined it down to even like pick up rascal and some of the smaller rodents that you always tell people you, oh, we just picked those up on the last planet, but you could swear they're the same rodents every single time y'all dock or disembark. So you've been able to kind of narrow it down. You other than the weird organic masses that you're seeing from some of the vines as they kind of re-pop up, those start to diminish over that period of time. So nothing seems to have attached itself to the external part of the ship or the internals, you're very sure. But you also have not been able to fully eliminate or identify how to get rid of the sporific action of these kind of particles of plant that are going through. You've been able to keep all of the large pieces at bay. There's been no equipment damaged, but there still are these organic masses that keep on like popping up as these vines start to sprout out of seemingly nowhere. And so I think with the 4 out of 6, that's kind of where you get up for that. That takes up kind of your last day, but you've been able to mostly contain and early detect the problem. So whatever passes for sleep for you can get, knowing that you'll get woken up every once in a while to go burn out a certain area of the ship where they've been amassing. And so anybody else want to do anything?
I was going to say, I think after like a number of hours have passed into this second day, I would definitely make my way into the med bay. And then the fact that this person we've rescued is like this empathic void for me, I think almost becomes like a thing that I am intrigued by and maybe worried by, like studying almost like, and I think that involves sort of like me trying to look up if there's anything we have, like a database or anything on like the book, the data pad thing we found, this person. Like, I think that, I envision Anders as being a little bit of like the loner out of the crew, like the one who just kind of is always like, oh, he's just off in his room, alone kind of. And so I think that I spend most of my downtime trying to see if I can get anything from this person or if I can learn anything.
Are you just keeping them sedated?
I guess, well, you said they were like very, very, yeah. I mean, I think, I don't envision that our ship has extremely capable medical facilities, so I don't think
but
it would
things
be the
like
kind of thing
you could be running nutrients for him. Like imagine it is the future.
Yes.
So imagine that like a first aid kit gives you basically about the level of functionality that an first aid kit. You can basically do what an ambulance would do in this scenario, and essentially you can keep people stable as long as they're not horribly grievously wounded, but that's about it. And so putting him in stasis is really more of a, we don't know what's wrong, we're gonna keep him in stasis till we get back so somebody who knows what they're doing can figure this out.
I think that I would keep him probably or this person in relative stasis, especially if they're not this is not like if because it sounds like they're probably alien. If I just wouldn't want to mess up any. Like I'm going to pump this kind of nutrient in, and it's like, no, that's not food for them. That's not
Awesome.
good.
So you go and you kind of experiment. Is there an ability or anything you want to trigger as part of this?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just kind of in the montage of how he's spending the time.
No, that's fine. Go ahead and make an X6 roll for me. I'll tell you what you can get on the book. We'll come back to that in just 1 second. Zoe, tell me if there's anything you're up to.
Yeah, I think just continuing to experiment with these new exotic spices. It's dirt from the planet. And chasing Rascal around, trying to potty train it to no avail.
Awesome. What's the one trick you teach Rascal in this time?
Play dead, I think.
I love it. Awesome. You can now command Rascal to play dead anytime you want to.
Nice.
With pretty good assurance that he will, or they will. Jawbone, how about you? What are we seeing from you on the way back?
I'm leaning back in my pilot chair, pushing the cruise control button. I'm putting my feet up, and I'm cracking a sixer.
The whole
Awesome.
thing at once.
Awesome.
Yeah, all 6 at once, so I can sip out of each section individually.
Go ahead and make a D6 roll for me. Let's just see if y'all wander across anything that you don't want to on the way back.
Got a 2.
You're fine. You guys, you catch some pirate chatter on the far, on the far sensors, and you kind of you knock your beer over as you quickly turn off the autopilot and kind of veer away from them. It was close, but you're pretty sure you were able to kick in your stealth shielding and kind of get out of that range and shoot out around them. It takes a couple hours longer to get back, but nothing that anybody's going to notice. As y'all come in, Anders, what did you get on that roll?
4.
A 4. So you don't get any super detailed knowledge about the book. You're able to go through it. You're able to scan it into the system. It does seem that there's something embedded on it, but you're not 100% sure what it is supposed to be. I am 100% fishing around to look at something specific. Hold on just 1 second. You do find actually the only thing that you can kind of figure out is that it is from the orb sphere sector, right? So it is from that sector. Some of the symbols that are in there are common symbols that are found in that thing, but the alphabets used across the different orbs within that system are a little bit lost to time, but also very diverse. And this seems to be almost a mishmash of them. Every page seems to be written in a slightly different cipher. And so you're getting like a letter or two per page for different dialects and planets and other things like that. Other than the fact that they are all kind of commonly associated with that system, the database doesn't give you any additional details though. As you guys are pulling up, a large ship kind of cruises by you, almost dwarfing yours. It's a ro-ro ship, so it's about twice the size of yours, and it speeds past you, coming up from behind as you're getting into docking. Let's go with Glitch. When you see this ship, what specifically tells you that this ship, or what about its make, suggests to you that it comes from the orb of Arid Vast, which is one of the orbs in the orb space system?
Oh, orbs are
orbs
planets?
are what the planets or habitat systems, because some of them are moons, some of them are comets. There's a variety of them, but anywhere that there was a population center in the orb sphere space, there is a they are just generally referred to as an orb, even if it's not properly a planet. So what tells you that it's from the orb of Arid Vast?
Arid Vast. I think that suggests to me that there's like these giant cryo tanks on it. So Arid Vast to me imagine is like it's a very like cold, mountainous zone or region, and I imagine the people there probably are like accustomed to those kinds of conditions. So there's like these giant protrusions on parts of the main hull, which are just meant for constantly pumping and recycling liquid nitrogen for cooling, to like stabilize the ship, and also the internal like life support systems. It probably also has some good applications for like when the ship needs to enter atmosphere and stuff like that as well. But like you can always tell there's a ship from this orb because they have these weird like chem tank pods popping off of it.
Love it. So Zoe, you know that the arid vast is this very cold, mountainous, desolate region. People from that region don't like the ships will get seen out and about every once in a while, but they don't travel very far. What's trailing behind this ship that is particularly unique as it travels through space?
So you know, like sometimes they'll attach to planes like advertisements, like on a big flag. Something is written on a massive, massive banner that this ship is pulling behind it.
I love
It's in a language that nobody can understand.
I
It's
love
maybe
it.
something ancient, or
I love it.
it's not some sort of war declaration.
It's got a big banner going behind it. I absolutely love that. Anders, are you aware of this big banner?
Am I aware of the big banner?
Do you see this like as this ship's going by? Are you off and about? So like,
I think so. I think as we're coming in towards the station, I would be out and about in a place where I'm sure this is visible on a screen or through a window.
One of the symbols that you see looks absolutely familiar to you from those books. Like a couple of the character crossovers on whatever this banner says, which you can't read, but it does look like there's some common symbols for one of the pages in the book.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I would make a note of that and just kind of say to the group, I'd be like, I think that must be an orb space ship. It looks kind of like something in the book.
Jabon, as you start the docking process, you get kind of a flag notice that y'all are being put under quarantine for 24 hours due to the detection of foreign biological masses within your ship, and until those can get purged, y'all aren't going to be able to leave the ship. What do you do?
I'm going to pick up the radio or push the radio button to talk to the station master. Excuse me.
Yes, can we help you?
It says I've been put into quarantine. There's been some kind of mistake.
No, there seems to be some sort of sporific mass on the underside of your ship until we can get that.
What did you just call me?
I called you a sporific mass hole, Jawbone. You do this every single time.
This is absurd. You know me. There's no quarantine. They don't need to quarantine me.
Well, we're quarantining the ship. You just happen to be on it.
Well, what if all right, here's the deal. You quarantine the ship, but before you do, we'll get to get off the ship.
I'll see what I can do. The ship is going to have to be sealed for at least 24 hours. I'll see if I can get y'all a docking berth that has a detox station that we can run y'all through before you come off.
Perfect. That's what you're my fourth favorite station master, and I hang up.
And you get pinged for a berthing fee that is about 3 times what normally gets charged, which is usually just 100 credits. So you're getting charged a 300 credit berthing fee. IBA is happy to take this on and just add it onto your debt for the ship also too, if you can't afford it at the moment.
Done. Max out those credit cards.
So,
completely affordable, 22.5% interest rate.
Yeah, exactly. IBA drops it onto the top of your thing. Let's have somebody make a loot roll for me. We'll just see how much the samples you have worth coming back, and we'll just give that to you guys for the session as walking around money, also too. So let's have Anders. Why don't you go ahead and make that a D6 roll for me? Tell me what you get.
A 1.
Nice.
Yeah, so you guys brought back a lot of samples, and this was supposed to be a very lucrative contract. However, it turns out that all of the good dirt and samples you brought back, Zoe has cooked over the course of the last few days. Like, so y'all get a roll 3d6 for me, Anders.
I had 1d6 ready. I had a d20. 12.
Okay. After all of the fees y'all go through, you have about 120 credits of walking around money each, until you go back out into the void. And so so you'll get in, you get docked. What are y'all doing about the individual in the med bay?
I assume that there is some sort of like emergency response kind of thing here in the docking system. I don't know if that's something like I would know, probably being the person who's normally in charge of the medic thing. I'd be like, hey, let's get them, we paid the extra fee. We're going to get them off and out of here and basically just take them for hospitalization.
So you gurney them up, you pop them off. Y'all go through the hazmat process. It takes a few hours. This guy gets kind of whisked off initially, but it takes a few hours for y'all to get through the hazmat process. But rather than having to stay on ship for 24 hours, it takes about 4 hours for you to do so. While you're in there, you see another ship through the portal come up, and it's a ship unlike one that any of y'all have ever seen. But it's from a place called the Orb of Cathedrals. Jawbone, what suggests to you, what do you see about this ship that suggests to you it's from the Orb of Cathedrals?
All of their windows are those like very specific arched Gothic windows, and there's always tons of them in lines.
Awesome. So it's got almost this cathedral-like structure itself as it kind of bows up, and has the big stained glass windows that kind of fluctuate and crackle with power and electricity behind them, illuminating these different kind of stained glass scenes. Excellent. Anders, what about the armament of this ship seems especially menacing to you?
I think that running the length of it, sort of like centered and running along the entire bottom of the length of it, it has a single, like, extremely powerful railgun. Like, it has the kind of weapon it looks like I think it almost has this very like cathedral-y Gothic style, except it has this one weapon that is very clearly like we will hit you once and you will be vaporized to dust instantly, like big stick energy.
You gotta respect that big stick energy.
Can I make a suggestion as well?
Yeah.
Can their smaller guns be gargoyles?
Absolutely, their smaller guns can be gargoyles. So you see these kind of
yes, I love that.
mounted, and it's in a place and in a time where there are different cultures and creatures. It's almost as if these were sculpted, each one to terrify a specific race, while making a mockery of another at the same time. And so, like, it's not just that they are gargoyles; that they are these kind of horrifically warped versions of other known sentient species that were known for kind of their predatory histories, even if some of those have been left behind in the past. And so it is frighteningly shocking. And yeah, their wings or their fingers or even sometimes their claws look like they have smaller weapons pointing out of them. And then they've got the big stick energy down in the basement of the cathedral, kind of pointing out underneath. So yeah, y'all see that dock as you come out. You finish the detox process a few hours later. As you kind of come out, everything in the bay seems to be kind of normal. This isn't a normal place of disembarkation. Like I said, you guys got rerouted here specifically for the quarantine and decontamination process. Do you guys have a place that you stay on the station? Do y'all normally live on the ship? What's each of your normal mode of operating, and where do you want to go now that you're back at the station? I can tell you about a couple of different things that are going on, but if there's something that your character would like to do, as just anywhere, and you can just say, I want to go to a restaurant, I want to go to a bar, we'll figure out the details of it. You just need to tell me kind of your general intent.
I'm going to the pawn shop that I sold my best pair of pants to last time.
Your best pair of pants.
Yeah.
I love it. So you want to make your way to the pawn shop to
Yeah.
try to get your pants back. Excellent. What's everybody else up to? Glitch, how about you?
Yeah, I think we're gonna be resupplying. I think Glitch is also like the sort of quartermaster to a certain extent. And we went through a lot of stuff getting off that planet. We had to go through like a bunch of fuel canisters to torch the to fuel up the arc welders to burn off those plants. I probably have a shopping list from Zoe of like, can you get these? We're all out of space cumin, and come on, like we use it in everything. We gotta have a 32-ounce shaker on board, more protein paste, that kind of thing. So I think Glitch is going to be taking like whatever scraps and credits that they happen to have down to like a market, and just like, let me get everything down at Space Costco.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that Anders would probably join unless Glitch would have a
No, that makes sense.
problem.
Yeah.
I think I feel a little lost in these big dens of like these big, huge centers of industry and people. And I think that, I think he's just as like, well, we need to make sure that Zoe isn't eating through all the credits for the next job. So let's make sure we stock up on, something filling but cheap, like let's get like a lot of rice or whatever will keep him full, so he's not cooking through everything we bring back.
Space flakes.
Awesome. Zoe, what are you up to?
So I think Zoe, he wouldn't show it, but I think he feels really bad about the whole, our samples were delicious thing. So I think he's taking whatever's left of the crappy sort of dollar store specimens that we have in our cargo bay and trying to hawk them basically just on the street, like whether that's an open air market of some sort or maybe at that pawn shop.
So yeah, do you want to go with the pawn shop? Do you want to follow them to the market? Do you want to go somewhere completely separate?
Let's try the pawn shop first, because I think they'd be less
Awesome.
looking less closely.
Our
dirt that I'm about to try to sell them.
That's awesome. So I'll tell you guys what's going to happen in just a second. You're going to walk up to the pawn shop, and you're going to see that they're closed for the day because they're at a swap meet that is happening nearby, where they have taken a bunch of just items that have been laying around and have gone to go sell them and trade them at this space swap meet, which I swear I had a better name for, but the salvage swap is what it's called. They took it to a salvage swap, so it's a lot of just kind of secondhand items that are going to be on sale on a lower level. So you guys are gonna have to redivert down there. Glitch, you're the first.
Hold on, I want to look through the window. Do I see my pants on display in the window?
It's a great question. In we see you kind of look in, zoom around, kind of looking for them, and you kind of zoom in, and we get a sense of like the empty space where your pants used to be, perfectly, because they were a great pair of pants, and they were obviously on display, and they have been taken down, and you do not see them.
Okay,
so
we're going to the salvage swap.
We'll come back in just 1 second to the salvage swap and what happens there. You two who are headed to the market, Glitch, you said you were going first. Go ahead and roll a d4 for me. We'll see which market you come to first, because every space on Eternus is a little bit different, and even when you go places, they are a little bit different from time to time. And so we're going to see which of the 4 types of markets you stumble across first.
Okay, I got a 4.
Awesome. This is great. This was not intentional, but you were going to the flea market, which is actually where the salvage swap is taking place.
Perfect.
And so you headed down a few levels. And the flea market is it's not all secondhand stuff, but it's definitely the station's equivalent to a farmer's market. So a lot of the different farm settings on the station, which there's different types of farms. There's meat farms, there's food farms, there's other types of places that any number of things are grown, as well as things that people may be growing in their sparse living spaces under their basement. There's a lot of different types of homebrew that kind of waft through the air as you walk through this large flea market. And you can just hear a lot of shouting around, but you're not going to be able to do necessarily any bulk buying here. So it's going to be a lot of vendor to vendor shopping to find exactly what you want. Tell me a little bit about the primary item you're looking for, and tell me a little bit about the vendor who has it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, more than anything else, we probably used up like fuel canisters, because I'd like the idea that you mentioned of like surgical flamethrower strikes to like burn off these vines and try and get the spores out. So we're just all out of fuel.
Okay.
Like loose fuel, like propane tanks, not obviously ship fuel, because
Sure.
that's whatever else it is. So I think the space propane vendor is like an octopus alien humanoid. So like a tank top just stained in grease and ink, and is sort of like I want to say, let's get weird. I mean, we're in space, right?
Yeah.
They're an alien who has kind of mottled orange and purple skin, with a head like an elephant, like a Max Rebo type elephant alien, but then just like a lot of tentacle arms.
Cool.
And then like thick, chubby, like elephant type legs.
Cool.
As just like stomping around, like grabbing things off the shelf with two tentacles, messing with something else with another one, kind of ambiently behind their back, that kind of thing.
Love it.
Is the trunk a tentacle, or are the tentacles trunks?
Fascinating question with horrifying implications either way.
I love the idea that trunk, if you think about it, trunk is breathing tentacle, like, period.
It's true.
Like,
it's true.
so, regards, I like the idea of like a bunch of then like one big breathing tentacle and then like two smaller proboscis like flailing tentacles that like help it eat. But I love the stain.
Mandibular tentacles.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're getting here a little bit later in the day because of the delay, and the day being the normal rotational cycle of this ring of the station. So go ahead and roll D6 for me, and let's see how much normal space propane he has in stock.
Okay. 4.
So he's got a decent amount of regular space propane, but he also offers to supplement with the house blend of methane. So he can cut the cost for you a little bit if you'll take the house propane methane blend that he's offering you.
Right.
I mean, it's the house blend. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
if we're just using it to burn stuff. I mean, hopefully in the future we won't have to burn as much stuff, but I think it'll work.
Yeah, I like this. So Glitch is kind of like stroking their chin, because they're that like kind of tall, weird hourglass biomorph shape, and just sort of like wistfully thinking, and listening. Like, well, I suppose in dire circumstances we may be of need of additional fuel tanks. Of course, the flamethrowers do not appreciate using aftermarket blends. It does void the warranty. Then again, I do that quite often.
He seems to be a little
has a point.
insulted by your suggestion that the house blend isn't as good as the normal propane oxygen mix.
Not to offend you, of course. I know that you sell only the finest wares here. Yes, I do believe Anders is correct. We will sample your fine house blend.
So he like sets up a number of tanks, right? And they're gonna have them sent up. You don't have to. If you want to keep some with you, you're welcome to keep some with you. They are not without bulk, but they're in order to kind of restock the ship, they're gonna just send it along the way. Go ahead and take out let's say 40 credits for the house blend. But you also notice that the tips of each of them, like the tips of each of the canisters where you would see the gases kind of hyper compressed in, have like an inky sheen over the top of them that can't help you wonder how exactly that gas got in there. We're gonna cut over. The other two of you are looking for the salvage swap. Have you guys brought anything with you to trade, or are you just hoping to go straight credits on this?
I have just 2 armfuls of somewhat useless but equally esoteric samples of alien plant life.
Awesome. And then Jumbo, you're looking for your pants, right?
So as we're walking, clever viewers and probably Zoe will notice that I am strategically starting to take everything out of my cargo pants, like I'm taking all the spare ammo and like random bits and bobs and that Snickers bar, and then I'm gonna like take my belt off, like I'm ready to trade these pants for my good pants.
You walk up. Tell me a little bit about the guy you sold your pants to.
Oh, I think his name is like Greasy Larry, but Larry is short for like Lerenskodenskadeskadal, like some long complicated alien name. I think he's like just an immaculately carved version of a hideous human. Like he's got the pale blue skin and like really expertly crafted sort of like andromorph or alien life form, but of just a truly just hideous individual.
Awesome. I like the perfect. Even let's call this an engineered life form. So this is not necessarily it's a biological life form, but this is part of an engineered species. But they were engineered to be the perfect version of a hideous human. They're kind of the grimmest version of humanity's worst foibles visually. However, they are also in some bizarre way stunningly like attractive within that. Like there's a coldness to them that just draws people in and also makes them just tremendous merchants as well too. And so like you want to do business with these people. And so you he sees you coming. Greasy Larry sees you coming, and kind of makes eye contact with you, and gives you kind of a cocked up eyebrow. Roll a d6 for me.
I got a 2.
Cool. As you get up a little closer, you realize Larry is wearing your pants.
That bastard. I walk up to him. Hi, Larry.
Hello.
I'm here to get my pants back.
Ticket was due.
Well, I know, but
I sold them.
Well, to who?
I mean, I bought them also.
Oh, right. The old self sale. I got you.
Employee discount. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And of course. I need them back though. That's the thing.
Right. You would like to buy my pants?
Well, I'd like them. I mean, ideally, if you could just give them to me. But I mean, I suppose I can buy them for you. You know, and I gesture at my pants and I say, these ones are coated in the space dust of 1,000 dead worlds that we just came off of. And I turn to Zoe. Right, Zoe? And I give you a very obvious look.
Yes. I think it was closer to 1,100, actually.
Exactly. These pants are probably
1,100 dead worlds.
Exactly.
The space dust of 1,100 dead worlds.
Exactly. Sewn into the polyester fibers.
I don't even understand why you would want to part with those.
Well, the thing is, I've got a sensitivity, and so up near the old bunghole, it gets a little irritated. But it's just me. Zoe tried them on, and they're totally fine on them. So,
Zoe, they didn't tingle your bunghole, is what you're saying?
I can't say that they did. Shooting back kind of an angry-ish
I give you a big wink.
What do you have there? And he looks to Zoe.
Oh, these?
Yes.
Just the finest spices of Zebulon 4. They wouldn't take them here. I don't really know why. They sent us off to get them, and now suddenly they don't want them.
Tell me a little bit more about these spices. I might be convinced to part with
Extremely
these
valuable.
cans.
They're very valuable.
And delicious, too. It's not like one of those
Yes.
things where it's more expensive because it's bad and people say it's an acquired taste, but it's actually not. They're actually quite
Exactly.
good.
It's
I've been
not.
cooking
It's
with
not
them
like
all
cheese
week.
at all. It's not like cheese at all.
And
No,
you,
not like cheese or wine.
And how do they affect your bunghole? That's the real question.
Positively.
Yeah, I would have to say positively.
Excellent, because I have 3 bungholes. That's the thing, and so
It's triple the fun.
two of them are fine, but one of them could use a little help, if you know what I mean.
I mean, if you can direct it where it needs to go, you'd be well off to trade these out.
Look, I'll tell you what. These are very nice pants. I can swap you for some of that good bunghole spice, as well as 80 credits.
80. The spices are worth easily twice that.
Yes, but the problem is you've been buying and selling these pants for me for 10 years now. And so by going back and forth over time like that, the amount of money that you owe me has gone up and up and up. These were just an 8 credit pair of pants to start with, but
How
the
dare
inflation
you.
rate has gotten to be absolutely insane as you've bought them and sold them back to me over and over again. It's why I just bought them myself to end the vicious cycle. If you want to start it again, you'll have to convince me.
I turn to look at Zoe.
I'm happy to give up my extremely exotic, rare, and valuable spices. At least,
Right. And then we'll go half and half on the credits. So I pay 40.
Well.
40.
see, that's the thing. No.
Why not? We were both here, right? We both came to the salvage swap.
Okay, fine. Half and half on the credits,
Right.
and I get to wear your pants 2 days out of the week.
Fine.
I have two questions for you, Zoe. Where is Rascal right now?
Rascal's in one of the jars in my arms.
In one of the jars in your arms. And then I have another question for Anders. Anders, where is the book right now?
I just had that thought a few minutes ago. I think that.
Oh, I thought about it as you were leaving the ship, but I'm willing to let you go ahead and tell me where it is right now either way.
That's what I mean. Unless we noticed that it was like deteriorating or falling apart, any reason we specifically like encapsulated it in there, I think that I would have brought it. Like I would have plastic bagged it.
Great.
To be like, yeah, this is preserving it, and then put it in my backpack because I always have like a big backpack with all my stuff in it.
So Greasy Larry is like leaning out when all of a sudden like the info screens around you all start to flash a little bit, and all of a sudden you see a picture of Zoe and Anders slide across the top of it, and you see a picture of Glitch and Jawbone slide across the bottom half of it. Zoe and Jawbone, Zoe and Anders, are definitely the 2 primary focus. The other 2 of you are listed as known associates, and anybody who sees him is supposed to notify the district chief immediately. But there is a notice that y'all are wanted for questioning. What do you do?
Look, Jawbone, you're on TV.
Wow, you're too. All right. I think the TV don't back again. Can I tell wanted? It's just for questioning. It's not like murder or like.
It says wanted for questioning. Let's be honest. That you've been around Jawbone. You've got a double Merc background, right?
I've got Merc Tech, but yeah.
Merc Tech. Okay, so you know that questioning can mean questioning. It can also mean we never see that person again. That station's a big place. Those people are probably just on the other side of it, right? Like, or they're out on a ship somewhere. They're fine, I'm sure.
Space farm upstate, yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes, questioning is just questioning. Other times, questioning is we never see you again.
Great. I have a gun, right?
I don't know. Do you have a
Unrelated
gun?
question.
Segue.
What's on your inventory sheet?
Oh, that's a good question. I only partially filled this out. I'm going to take a gun as one of my inventory items, assuming that's
Sure.
acceptable. Great.
Sure.
I'm going to pull my gun out and point a grease Larry. Give me the pants now.
Is this what we're doing? I am not action ready.
Give me the pants,
jars.
Larry.
As this happens, Zoe, and as you kind of like step back and Rascal pops out of this pot and runs up onto your shoulder, you see a few people. There aren't a large military or police force on the station. There are plenty of military and police people. They're not particularly organized. What there are a lot of is bounty hunters, people who basically operate outside of what little law there is. People around. You notice that there are people around you, having seen this weapon drawn, who are now starting to move their hands over, and a number of them are staring down at their data devices on their wrists. And the same red flashing notification is appearing on the, it looks like on their wrist as well. So you notice that in the background. I can't believe it after all these years.
Give me the pants.
You'll never do business on this station again, as he's like slowly taking off these pants.
Hand him over.
Showing off a perfectly immaculately phenomenally haired ass with 3 perfect bungholes on it. Absolutely hideous. But you can't look away as he hands you the pants. Do you hand him the cargo shorts, or what are you doing?
No, I don't have time for that. I keep the gun pointed at him, and then I say, "All right, Zoe, we're leaving. Let's go."
Sure. I'll just like put like a jar of actually just dirt like on the little counters for your troubles as I'm like backing away.
So you
just leaving all these spices.
glitch and let's flash over to glitch and Andrews, which like when I say flash over, I mean like literally like we watch the camera pull up,
hands,
go across a number of things and like zoom back down on the two of you on the other side of this kind of open market area. Tell us a little bit about what you are doing as all of a sudden your images flash across the screen.
Oh my.
Yeah, I think I like pat up because in my mind, Glitch, you're much taller than me. I kind of like pat up and I go, that doesn't seem good. That doesn't seem good, right? That's not good, right?
It is suboptimal.
We should probably find the others, right, and figure out what we're doing about that.
Yes, indeed.
No one has drawn weapons, but y'all see a number of individuals who are taking almost a predatory glance in your direction as this gets loaded up. You finish up with, I don't know that we named the elephant octopus person, but
no.
You finish up like that transaction had ended. You guys had gotten that all completely taken care of as this is all taking place.
Yeah,
so I think I like zip. It's like I like zip my jacket and like pull my backpack on tight, and I'm just looking at you, Glitch, being like, I think we gotta go. Like, do we know that Jawbone and Zoe are in the same area as us, or no?
No, we assume that they just went off to the pawn shop, as far as we know. So, like, I think, Glitch, despite being like mostly neoprene and chrome and plastic, for whatever reason, just like wears like a tunic kind of thing. So like a mantle, like a cloak. So like quickly pulls the hood up over the bubble helm. And for whatever good that's gonna do, like it's subtle.
Like just his silhouette is like very standout, but
right. It's like, yes, we should proceed post haste back to the ship and see if we can make contact with Jawbone and Zoe.
I will say did any of you add any sort of comm devices to your inventory?
I have long range comms.
Okay,
because I'm the recon person.
Is that an ability or something in your loadout?
It's auxiliary. It's my auxiliary loadout. Yeah.
Cool. I am totally fine if the long range comms essentially works as a broadcast device for you. Like if you want to use that to ping them really quick, everybody has some level of it's space future. Everybody's got some level of near future cell phone. How easy it is to communicate across station does matter equipment wise though. So if you want to ping them, that is totally fine also.
Yeah, then as we say that when we're getting back to the ship, I think I like reach down and it's like I'm thinking that it's like a cassette Walkman
Okay.
on my belt, that kind of a thing, where I like flip and click a button down, and then I have like in the collar of the jacket, there's like a little microphone that comes out there, and I'm like, if you guys are close, we should. Have you seen the screens? And I'm like kind of panicked, poorly communicating while starting to panic, trying to broadcast to the two of them.
I assume we receive it unless there's difficulty.
No, y'all hear it.
We're at the salvage swap. We're gonna try to get back to the ship, I guess.
I think rather than any response to the radio, you just hear Jawbone yelling, "Give me the pants!" like across the other room, across the room.
That's great. That's great timing.
Across the market, right?
Yeah. You
I think they're here.
Oh my.
Start going off that way, I guess.
It seems Jawbone has made another ill-advised business decision. Start sprint like.
Yeah, but I'm like, but it's my picture's one of the ones on the top. He's not. It doesn't say wanted for pants theft, but okay.
Yeah, that's gonna come later. That
is what concerns me.
as y'all move your way up to them, two individuals step out into your path. And they each have what looks like a very rudimentary, like one's got a blaster, and the other one looks like a 3D printed gun, pointed at you, and they're like, "Hey, think y'all should come with us." And you guys, you can see them on the other side of these people. They are now 15 feet away from you. Y'all are all together, but these two individuals have slid out in front of you in between.
Okay, so yeah, they're out in the crowd facing.
Yeah, they
Glitch and I, but behind me,
putting pants on.
Okay.
Zoe is
We can
putting
see
down a
them in the
thing of
background.
dirt. They're facing away from you. These guys slide out in between you and them about 15 feet before you get there. They say, "Yeah, y'all need to come with us." But they're looking at Glitch and Anders.
I just kind of hold in place and look to Glitch as the much bigger.
Come on,
imposing of the
district
two.
chief's got questions for you.
Questions which I am sure we would all be all too happy to answer if you would just give us a moment. There's no need for public altercation or displays of violence.
I give you a moment to start stepping that way. Let's go.
Can we see this?
Yeah, can we?
So y'all hear this kind of commotion behind you as you finish up, but absolutely yes.
Great.
Because if they're 10 to 15 feet away,
Glitch
from you,
is like
these guys are
trying to
18
stall
feet
for
away from
time.
you. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so,
so it's starting to push way over there, loudly proclaiming, shouldering through people like, "Wow, I can't believe our 4 respective twin siblings have all at the same time been brought up on charges. That's just the wildest thing. Can you believe that?"
Zoe, you have a twin? You never told me.
Shut up, fuck up. I did your thing, now you're doing my thing.
Right, right. All quadruplets, actually. Yeah, there's quadruplets of us. Yeah,
Who
there's
knows
this.
who could that could be on the monitor? Certainly not me.
Wait, shit! Look! It's Anders and Glitch. We have to go help them.
You mean Smanders?
as
and
you say their
Switch.
names out loud, the two people in the middle go, "Ah, we knew it!" And then like they kind of sidestep and they're going like this in between the two of you. Go ahead and make an initiative roll for me. Just one of you. I need one of you to roll a d6 for me. Let's have it be Jawbone for right now.
Great. I got another 2. We're on all 2s today.
Awesome. So they kind of step back. They kind of quickly realize y'all are coming up behind them. They step back and you see them like hit a thing on their comm devices. And all of a sudden like a number of other people from around the room like start converging on y'all's locations. You've got a group of, it looks like eight just very low level. You've never heard of these people. You don't know them. Bounty hunters who are now surrounding you.
What?
And starting
1,
to
2,
close in.
3, 4, 5. There's 10 of you. You're gonna split no bounty 10 ways.
Eight total.
What are you doing?
Eight total. And so it's the two
There's
of them
12
plus
of
6
you.
more.
You're gonna split it 12 ways.
There's no bounty. It just says questioning. What is it? Put your guns away. This is ridiculous.
It says questioning on those screens. That's not what we have. That's not the information we have, though.
What do you have?
Come on,
Out of
let's go.
curiosity. That's not what it says.
So are y'all going to go with them to the district chief? Are you going to follow these, or are you guys going to try to get out of our way?
Glitch is gonna try and make a distraction.
Yeah, I just try to. I'm like looking at everybody else and just like very quietly, like where only we can hear it, being like, "What are we doing?"
So they're you got these people kind of closing in on you. They're about to start laying hands on you. Glitch, what are you doing to try to create a distraction?
Yeah. So Glitch again is like, exposed skin, lower face, and then just like a bubble visor head thing, with lights and stuff. And so I think just like the skull chirps and a bunch of lights flash in a pattern that the rest of the crew kind of recognizes as like, I'm gonna do something. Like a little R2D2 kind of
I
like
love that.
that sounds like compiling noises. But it's gonna use the fuel. We were carrying some of that.
I said if you wanted to, you absolutely could. So if you've
That was brew methane.
So I think Glitch is like just like we will come quietly. There is no need for alarm. Like what with one hand up,
sure.
with the other like subtly reaching towards like their harness to like pull the methane can out. And how does this stuff work? Just like making like a makeshift grenade, basically.
I believe you have a skill called repurpose. I think that's.
I do.
I 100% am fine with you converting this methane to a practical, controllable explosive device if you would like to. That sounds like a great use of repurpose. So
yeah,
you have 2 levels in tech, right?
I do.
So you have 2 uses of repurpose per day of play. So like every character day you have 2 uses of that. So if you want to mark one of those off, yeah, absolutely, you can use this in that way. Tell me what specifically you're doing with it.
Yeah, so I'm going to mark one of those off, and I think what it is Glitch has is all augs and mods. So like the tip of their finger like retracts and returns with a little like Zippo, like a little lighter flame. As the can goes like psh, pops open, and they light the canister after like agitating it, and like huck it up. And what they're trying to do is like create like a flashbang more than anything else.
Awesome.
I was trying to think of like how you would create
I think that's great. That was my question:
effect.
is how much are you? So you toss it up. You signaled everybody else in advance, so everybody, unless somebody is choosing to look at the flashbang grenade, I do think somebody roll a D8 for me, Glitch.
D8. Okay. There's the 8. 5.
So you throw it up. The 2 guys right in front of you and 3 of the other guys like all look up at this thing as all of a sudden it ruptures and explodes. People around the flea market just start like screaming happening. People at the salvage swap are starting to like grab stuff off their tables. Like you see like fights breaks out over there as some aggressive haggling starts to spill over now with this carnage that's in play. The smell of methane and propane burning fill the air and kind of rupture into the sky above. Klaxons go off across the board, and there's a massive cacophony. But 3 of these guys are all of a sudden jumping. Glitch, you tossed it up, so 2 of them are jumping at you. Anders, one of them is jumping towards you to try to grab onto you. They have action, but that's what they're all doing. They're just trying to subdue you right now. So what does everybody else want to do?
I was looking at the thing when it went off. I was trying to light my cigarette, so I'm reeling.
So you got a cigarette up like this. So here's the good news: you don't know it yet, but that cigarette is lit, like it is, or maybe like it works. But yeah, you're also kind of disoriented and stunned in this moment. Zoe, what do you want to do?
I had covered Rascal's eyes just in time.
Okay.
Just, apropos of nothing. I think Zoe at this point, I'm kind of waiting to see if I'm waiting to if someone makes contact and tries to grapple my crewmates, I will be.
So two people have put hands
off.
on Glitch. 2 people, one person has put hands on Anders at this point in time.
Yeah, let's help with glitch. That seems like a more pressing
Cool.
sort of mismatch. Just trying to get them off of each other.
And it's not like they don't
Anyway.
necessarily have a firm grip, but they have definitely like hand on shoulder. There's
Pulling
no restriction yet, but the intent of we are grabbing you is very
Yeah.
clear.
Our momentum is like out of this space right now.
Correct. Yeah. So what were you doing, Zoe? In response to that?
Trying to kind of break up this melee that's breaking out.
Right. So how, are you just hitting them?
Yeah. Just getting between them, trying to pull
Go ahead
them
and make a
apart.
merc roll for me. So D20 plus
Sure.
any merc you have.
Absolutely. It is a 9.
Cool. So you are like pushing, like if one of the ones on Anders or one of the ones on Glitch.
On Anders. Sorry, Glitch.
So you get your hands on one of them, and it's like I say, like you're kind of pushing at them. You get them off Glitch, but they are now like you're entangled with them. So like you get them off Glitch. It's 1-to-1-to-1. Jawbone is free but stunned. What is Anders? What do you want to do?
I see this one bounty hunter come up and put hands on me, and I see that like that. So I went to help Glitch, and then I'm gonna try if I can, like just going into panic mode, to pull the vibro sword I have out of my backpack. It's like tucked into my backpack, like you have a machete, and just gonna try to like bring it down.
I want to be clear. This is legally distinct from a vibe shetty. This is in no way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Not
a vibro blade or a vibe shetty. It's a vibro.
Neither
sword.
of those things. Neither Star Wars nor Mothership RPG can sue me. And so I'm sure someone else can. But yes, you pull it out.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to just like draw it from my backpack and
just
come right down
Go ahead and make a merc roll for me. Yeah.
It's sort of like just like an animal reflex kind of thing. I don't think I think too much about it. 20. A crit.
So here's the thing. Have you used any abilities yet?
I have not.
Okay, so had you used an ability, you would have gotten an ability point back to be able to use in the future because of a crit. However, with that said, you reach out, you like chop off this guy. This guy has a cybernetic arm. You just chop through it. You see like sparks and things cascade everywhere as he like starts to shake a little bit and step back. You're free, but he is kind of shaking. It looks like there's some sort of feedback happening as he's collapsing down towards the ground. So
it cuts through, and then I'm just going to try to kind of keep my eyes to the group, of kind of go back in the direction away from where not towards the guys that were stunned, but the other away from that into the sort of chaos of the market, but
sure, keeping
with the group.
Awesome. Glitch, the guy who has his arms around you is now actually trying to like wrap you up and push you kind of off towards the side in the market. If you want to resist him, you're going to need to make a defense roll for me. It's going to be a D20 plus any espionage you have.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it. So D20, and all I have is tech stuff.
Okay.
So it's just going to be a flat
D20 roll.
Yep. Which is a 1.
Awesome. Hell
yeah.
You this guy, like you toss the grenade up, and while you're doing that, like he slams into the middle of you, like, and he has gotten you secured. His friend, especially, who just got knocked off of you, was able to kind of like they were both kind of like scrambling around for a minute. As soon as he got pushed off, this guy actually kind of gets in there, gets his arm locked around your arm and is pushing you away from the marketplace towards the direction of the district chief's office. Pretty roughly. You don't take any damage, but he certainly has control over where you are headed at the moment. As you guys do this, you actually hear like you hear something that you can't quite determine whether it sounds like the clanking of chains or whether it sounds like a cable being like snapped along the ground. But something is like ka-chunk, clink, clunk, clink, clunk, like coming your way, and you can't quite make out what it is. Zoe, make a defense roll for me also, as somebody's trying to do, the guy you're struggling with is trying to do the same thing to you.
It's a 15.
It's a 15?
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to like kind of get the upper hand on this guy as he's wrestling with you. He hasn't been able to push you around at all, but you do have control of him now. So that's their round of combat. It's y'all's turn now, but you also hear like 3 voices that sound very similar that are coming closer to you as that clink clunk clink clunk clink clunk happens also too. What do y'all do? Jawbone, you'll be able to act this round, though you're still having a hard time seeing.
Yeah.
I'm
I-
just. Oh, sorry.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that because I like took this action that was very successful, backing up and then seeing them trying to haul Glitch away, I'm kind of like in for a penny, in for a pound. I don't know if they're charging me with property damage or assault from cutting that guy's cybernetic arm off, but I know that I'm in for more than I was. So I think I'm gonna try to get up to get Glitch free as well.
Okay. So this guy,
Vibro's
he's
sword.
pushed away from you. This guy's got his back towards you. Like, in all honesty, if you're gonna slam this guy with a vibro sword or do whatever you want to him, he's distracted and engaged. He's not gonna defend himself. So you can tell me.
Yeah, I
what
mean,
you
I
wanna
think
do.
I think I come up and like in this like high adrenaline moment, and then I like hesitate and think about it for a second, and then I try to like cut the back of his like legs, like the back of his knees, like not like
hamstring
not just like
action.
stab this guy in the back, like murder him. I'm just trying to like wound him to get him away.
So you hit him in the back of his leg. Just make a roll for me real quick. I just like, as long as you don't get a 1, you're gonna hit this guy. But I just want to make sure.
4.
4. Cool. So you're that was a D20 roll.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. You like hit him in the back of the leg. Like he stumbles and goes down. All of a sudden, Glitch, you find yourself freed up.
Yeah, Glitch is gonna look around for the nearest like bulkhead, like exit that we can get through out of the market.
Yeah. So
Because
you.
I assume we're in the middle of like a bunch of stalls and stuff. Like
Yeah. So that like the nearest one is only a couple of rows over. It's also where generally the direction that clanking noise and those voices were coming from. Also.
great. So into danger is basically the order of the day here. Glitch is going to turn back to everyone, sort of see that we're more or less free, right? And just yell, like gills pop out of the side of their neck that are like speakers that amplify their voice. And they yell like, we are leaving now," and gestures like in the direction of the like blast doors, and starts ka-chunk, like running off in that direction.
Awesome. So you are headed off that direction. Jawbone, you're able to follow if you want to. Anders, you as well. Zoe, you've got the guy who you are entangled with. What do you want to do?
Basically, I just call out like, my sweet Rascal is very faint of heart. Look what you've done. And Rascal is playing dead. Like,
So good at it.
Rascal drops dead. The guy like looks at him like, and you get just like a second.
I scoop up Rascal.
So are you just trying to like disentangle? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, we're just getting out of here.
Just
getting out of Dodge.
make it, because you guys were kind of lifted up. You were in control, so as you do that, you just kind of push him away, and yeah, you're able to get up. Y'all, if y'all are moving to follow Glitch, is that correct?
Yes.
Everyone. So as you move to follow Glitch, you come around the end of these things, and you come up and you see this bulkhead. Just
Hang
a
on.
couple of. Oh, go ahead.
Well, let's just say I'm running after Glitch, but I still can't hear them. So I'm just gonna run and just smash headlong into the side of the bulkhead.
So you smash inside the bulkhead, like kind of bounce back a little bit, and you can't hear, so you don't hear this. But on the other side of the bulkhead, you see 3 kind of stone-faced individuals with long, like protruding kind of like beak things, these large ears. You haven't ever seen a creature like this, but the closest thing that it stands out as these look in some ways shockingly similar to the gargoyles around the edges of the ship you saw earlier, and they're saying after you, brother. No, after you, brother. After you, brother. After you, brother. To each other, trying to get each other to go through the bulkhead. What do you do?
Do they have the same? Do we see the same arm band that these other station hunters
they don't have the same technology set up as most of the normal station dwellers do. You do see that they have like bits of technology kind of around their forms, but you don't like, you can't tell if there's a communication device or not.
I think I'm gonna go and put an arm around Jawbone's arm and be like, "We're leaving now," and pull.
No,
Try
you can't
to
take me.
help
You can't
you.
take me. And I put my gun to whoever just grabbed me.
No, it's
You
me.
can't take me.
It's Anders. It's
Oh,
Anders. It's me.
Anders, right. Got it.
And then I'm gonna try to pull, but I'm just kind of trying to squeeze us behind Glitch's silhouette.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
they are relatively blocking this bulkhead as y'all come up. They all like quickly shift and look at you. And you can see like one of them does have like, and then all of a sudden like a hologram like piece that like pops out over in front of their eye as they look at you. And that one says, "It's the Quarry Brothers." And you can see that they are linked together by this set of like this weird wire that's shunted into the back of each of their skulls that is connecting them to each other as well. There's a chain wrapped around it for structural support. What do you do?
I'm
So
bringing up the
they're
rear
like
behind them. It's just-
neurally linked. It seems
They're in
right?
some, yeah. It looks like they are connected to each other. Yes.
Glitch is gonna see this stuff, like kind of rapidly assess a plan, and like they're gonna stop us. Glitch wants to like slide like through or past them, and then try and override or disconnect the coupling.
Okay.
As a way of using the hack ability.
So tell me how you are connecting with them in order to do that. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I just want a narrative explanation in order to give you that auto success from hack about what it looks like for you to interface with their technology in a way that lets you force this shunt off.
So it's got to involve like a cool combat roll. Because they're big, right?
They are larger than any of y'all, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, Jawbone's about the same size, but they're a little bit bigger and bulkier for sure.
Okay, so they're not like 15 feet tall.
No.
Okay, I was imagining I'd have to like do a little tuck and roll underneath like a cave troll kind of thing. No, so in that case, maybe it's just a stand and deliver type deal. There's like a little thing comes out of this is how Glitch interacts with the system normally.
Sure.
Like a panel like pops out of the arm bracer, and then like an XLR cable, like you'd plug into a guitar and an amp.
Yeah.
Like reveals itself, like you know the second edition Shadowrun like Cyberdeck kind of things. So it's just like a spring-loaded cable, which you could normally just kind of yank out and click into stuff. But I think we get like an inside Glitch's head, like heads-up display targeting computer thing of like, where's the port? And Glitch like throws their arm out, and the cable like flies out and clicks into like one of the open ports.
I love it. So make me a tech roll. Make me a tech roll not to have the hack go through. The hack will go through as long as you can lock on, right? So that's
right.
You're just gonna make a tech roll to connect with them, and then the hacking you'll be able to handle.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because this is like very intricate. So we have that Jarvis kind of like targeting acquired. 19.
Hey. So is that so you are able to like you basically like slide up and you have that reticle pop up, and it like you're able to shoot it right into one of their heads, and it kind of shunts in to one of the spots that's like on the side of their temple, and you are able to get in there. What are you trying to do with this hack specifically?
Scramble their senses.
Okay.
So like they distort. I assume they're all linked together.
You see that there's a cable going into each of their heads. Yeah, that's wrapped around this chain. Yeah.
So I want to like feed. I think like the inside of the heads up display is like the kind of blinking text like launching cyber attack, and it just spams junk data into their into their
I love
brain
it.
computer.
So all of a sudden, like we see that the one who had the hologram like pop up in front of its face, that holographic like reticle, like it starts to like static from what everybody else is seeing as that junk gets fed into each other. The other one's eyes go a little bit like glassy out as y'all as you've kind of successfully gotten in and scrambled their input and their feed. I love that. So so that's happening right now. You're jacked in. What is everybody else doing in this moment?
Can only hold this for so long.
I, seeing that happen, still like vibroblade in one hand, like Jawbone's arm in the other, just drop that and follow
Awesome. So
Glitch and try to sever that connection between two of them.
awesome. So go ahead and roll a Merc roll for me.
Not very murky for all this murking I'm doing. 14.
14. So as you like go to swing in, you chop into and you hit that wire, and the cord cuts, but the chain that was on the cord doesn't quite sever. So the chain is still connecting them. The cord, whatever's shunted into them, that is severed though. Zoe, what do you want to do?
I'm running past them at this point. This seems like a diversion
Cool.
tactic.
Make
so
a
I'm still
recon
on
roll
get out
for
of
me
dodge pit.
because they are largely filling up that space. Make a
Yeah.
recon roll for me just to be able to clear through.
We're slipping. A 7.
So you kind of like go to like jump around, and like he's chopping on this side. There's three of them. There's this mesh of kind of cable and chain going back and forth. You are able to like get in between two of them, and you are like in the process of trying to weave around, but it's going to take you a little bit of time as you don't quite make it through. But you'll make it through next round after just kind of shaking around a little bit and getting through. Jawbone, are you going to try to do anything?
Yeah, still blinking. I'm gonna step forward. I'm gonna grab the middle of the chains that's holding them, and I'm gonna yell, "Go!" and just heave on the chains and try to pull all three of them.
You're like pulling them back this way?
Yeah, pulling them out of the hallway.
Cool. Make a Merc roll for me.
Great. That is an 11.
An 11. With your +2?
I only have +1, but yeah.
With your +1. Okay, cool. So you are able to like as you go to like pull it, you go. So you pull it, you go and like you yank as hard as you can, and like they don't move at all. It's like you're trying to move like a mountain of like stone. Like these things are heavy, whatever they are.
I keep yelling, "Go, go, go!"
Yeah, like
go.
you're like if we were zoomed in on Jawbone, it looks tremendous and exciting, and as we zoom out, it looks like a small child throwing a temper tantrum in front of its parent. And so but it does at that moment, like it allows Zoe to be able to slip through. Glitch, you're still jacked in depending on what you do, and Anders, you're going to get a chance to act also too. Essentially, these guys are, by this round, you guys are going to get an extra action because they are caught in this static feedback.
Then I think I'm going to look to Glitch, if you're able to like, if you're not completely like, jacked in, if you can perceive the outside world, I'm just going to be like, are we fighting or are we going? Glitch, can we go?
If you can bypass the bulkhead doors, that would be the most expedient plan of action.
Are the big doors?
Oh, the doors are open.
They're still open, right?
They're basically standing in. Like this is an open bulkhead.
They're
like
just in the doorway.
Yeah. So like you could try to shut it if you wanted to, but they were basically they are blocking it. Like it is not closed. They're just in the way. They're just in the way.
A protracted firefight would have a high lethality rate.
Yes, I agree. Let's go, Jawbone. Let's go. I'm just going to try to start following Zoe to try to get past them if we don't think we should fight.
Cool. So you're able to slip through also too. Glitch, you can keep this up for about another round before they will probably overcome this. What are you doing as you disconnect that, or what are you trying to do as you kind of get your last action from the hack process?
I think as the like last string of scrambling goes through, Glitch is just gonna pull the cable back and try and squeeze past them to follow after the rest of the crew, basically.
Okay. So you're gonna wait after everybody else has kind of gotten around. You're gonna
hold the door, quote unquote.
hold the door until
everyone's through,
cool.
And then try and be the last one out. Yep, exactly.
Cool. So y'all do it. You pull out. You've got a couple seconds to kind of get away. Y'all are starting to tear down the hallway.
Wait, actually, hang on. As we run out, I want to spin around with my slicer pistol. Can I do the classic Star Wars thing and shoot the control panel for the bulkhead door?
I love that. I think absolutely you can. Do you have an ability that's going to allow you to do that automatically, or do you want to make a roll?
No, I took a different ability.
I will tell you what. I'll give you a luck roll on whether you'll hit it no matter what, whether it does what you want it to do. But you have Merc and Tech, right?
I do.
So this is like your character's built around this move. And I just have another question for you. Is the spin you do the same as the spin that the guy does in the last most recent episode of Boba Fett?
Yes.
I do the totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
Coat flies out behind you. You focus in on it.
My pants on the pants. I'm holding my arms as I spin around.
You're gonna make a D6 roll because it's that exact maneuver, and we all know exactly what it looks like. You just have to not roll a 1. So make me a D6 roll and don't roll a 1.
We're chilling. That's a 5. We're good.
So you should. The bulkheads slam down. All of a sudden, the klaxons on the other side. You can't hear them anymore. You guys are in a series of hallways that connects to the next ring section of the station. You know that. You don't actually, other than those guys saying that you're the quarry, know that they're anything about them. But you can imagine that all the bounty hunters and people who are nearby are probably aware generally of where you're at. Are you guys headed back to the ship? Are you headed somewhere else in the station? Or are you just running to try to outpace these things?
Do we know where our ship is?
You generally know where your ship is. It has not been moved from that berth.
Okay.
The only problem with that is that's probably a matter of decent public record, and the fact that the person who put you there was essentially bribed means that other people might know where that ship is also too. That would be kind of free knowledge that you would easily have about, yes, you know where the ship is. So do a lot of other people.
Yeah, understandable.
Where can we go? Where can we go that would be safe? Where can we go? We were gonna go to the ship to try to get in touch with you, but the ship seems it seems like they would know this ship is, right? Everyone would know where the ship is.
It's the only thing we can do.
Might as well add Grand Theft Auto to the list of whatever it is that we're being brought up on.
I think the only way to get out is to get out.
Situation at a rapidly escalating rate.
We're already wanted.
Escalation is the only policy. Running down.
So y'all are running through the hallways as you have this conversation. Somebody roll a D4 for me. Let's say glitch.
Yep. A D4. Survey says 3.
Excellent. So y'all are coming up on the kind of the next section of this, and it's just a series of silos. And there's a number of different silo rings and spaces on the station. They each hold slightly different things. This is a waste silo section. So there is which distinctively is different than a scrap one, right? There's scrap silos, there's waste silos. Let me ask the question to Zoe. What is the smell that you smell as you're getting close that lets you know this is a waste silo first and foremost?
That is a really good question. So it's actually almost indistinguishable from the delicious soup that I was cooking in our very first scene on the ship. And I think that's a dead giveaway for anyone who isn't Zoe.
So we smell the aroma of Zoe's special soup kind of float in, and we see Rascal kind of get very excited all of a sudden and start to salivate and drool down Zoe's shoulder. You're able to kind of make out that aroma as you're going. It's not everybody's favorite sector, but it is a section of the station. But they're an essential part of it, and it's a very common. Silos are very common crossways. This one is not because of the nature of it. It's a lot of pathways over them, and some of the other ones like the water silos. A lot of people will go through these because it's kind of a beautiful space. There's not a lot of people around at this point in time. Jawbone, tell me about the group of 3 people you kind of see off in the distance. The only other people you can see. What are they doing here at the waste silos?
Oh, those 3 people are so they're kind of scavenger, but they're specifically hunting for extant life forms. So they're like fungal mushroom hunters, but of like the mushrooms that grow exclusively in waste silos.
Awesome, love that.
In my head, they're dressed like space babushkas.
No, I love that. That's perfect. Yeah, they are. It's a set of like it's a weird mix between like prepper, forager, and babushka, like that is here harvesting these waste mushrooms. Which is a secret ingredient in Zoe's soup. Anders,
I buy from them all the time. I know those guys.
Anders, what is the waste being reclamated into, and what does that process look like?
What is the waste being reclamated into?
What a good word.
Yeah, I think that it sounds like it's like this sort of like soupy, liquidy thing. I think that it is being like evaporated, and then maybe there are like some parts in the lower section of this, or maybe even under like the flooring here, where it like shakers. It's doing like a gold panning for like precious metals, like rare earth metals, right? Like things that would be used for like electronics. It's basically just taking a bunch of like the liquid waste and goop, and it's trying to be like, here is a little canister of gold we can make wires.
So it's like a sifting screen, but with like an electromagnetic current running through it to attract heavy metals to it, so that they can be. I love that. What great space tech. Such a good game, such an amazing supplement. Everybody should go back all of the things right now. So you see that process happening. You can see like there's some of this heavy metal being like sort of like there's a good amount of it being accumulated on the far end of the room. Are you guys, how fast are you moving at this point in time?
Running, tearing.
Yeah, probably pretty
run.
fast.
Awesome. As you guys get about halfway down, you feel the walk that you're on start to rumble and shake and move in this very kind of rhythmic way that is not the same as the rhythm when the sifters get up to the top. Like there is some of that, but this seems massively amplified above that. What do you do?
I think I have a stomachache.
I don't like this. I don't like this. Why are there so many big things coming? What direction is it?
If you can't quite tell, make a tech roll for me to see if you can figure that out.
4.
So you that's on a D20, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As you kind of look around to try to figure out where it is, you can't tell. All of a sudden you hear a metal scraping though from right next to you down in one of these silos, as all of a sudden out of it erupts this giant creature that has this kind of it's hard to tell again whether this is earth or whether this is metal, but it's this very tough looking suit coated as the waste kind of slops off of it, this kind of goldish brownish. Maybe it's metal, maybe it's stone. It's really hard to tell right now. And eyes pointing out in every direction from these slits in this armor as they start to look around. And there's a vibra sword held in each of its many hands. What do you want to do?
Are you also here to collect our bounty?
Awesome.
I like that you're looking up. That's good.
Awesome. Excellent. As you ask that question, go ahead and make 3 dodge rolls for me, or 3 defense rolls for me.
Yeah, I'm just there with like my vibra sort of out. Like
Tony's like, no, we're gonna cancel the stream. Let's just TPK.
7, 14, and 5.
Awesome. So what happens is this thing, as it starts to swing around with numerous swords, with 3 different swords in its hands, and one kind of hits into your leg and cuts you up. How much health do you have?
2.
Great. So you're gonna take 1 hit point of damage from that.
Yep.
As that happens, you dodge out of the way as another sword slices through the air, and then right after that, another sword is
Yep.
gonna hit you in the middle of your section, cleaving through Glitch's chest. So, with that said, your character's dead.
Yep.
What I will say is this: does anybody have any sort of medical devices right now? Because I
do.
okay.
That's what I was going to ask. Is like I don't know if is they're dying or dead because I have heal as my ability.
So I am 100% down. If you want
I have
to,
a med kit also.
if you want to heal as an ability, right as this is happening, I'm 100% down with that. If that is a choice you want to make as far as what you're going to do on your turn, but yes, you can tell that Glitch was just critically and grievously wounded and is dying if they don't get immediate care. With that said, that's the Whirligig's action. And so now it is y'all's turn to act. So let's start with Anders. Anders, what do you do?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm standing like right there, facing this thing down where it came out near me. I just see it like slice and dice him up, and then I think just from like the, with my non-weaponed hand, I like pull out like a little,
Like a nano
like
patch?
quick shot thing.
Yeah.
And I just like punch it straight into like some of the remaining bits of like, skin meat.
Well, you
on,
stick it up
Glitch's
inside.
chest.
Like it's not even on the outside. You're like, I'm just gonna
It's just
stick
like
this into that hole. And so
in the wound, and I hit it. So then that'll be using my heal ability. So you only get 1 health back.
right.
Okay.
Um,
One's better than none.
That's
and
happening.
then my question is that kind of all that I do? Could I use another ability?
So if you tell me what you want to do, I'll tell you whether I think it is something that would be easy to do within at the same time.
Okay.
But typically an ability use is what you do on a round of action.
Okay. My only thought with this is it seems like it could be something that would be very quick. The other thing I want to do, also seeing that, is activate my active camo so that I go invisible if I move slow.
I'm down. I'm 100% down with a 2 ability activation within a thing for things that don't. Yes, I think that's fine. I think we see you stab in and hit your chest and go invisible at the same time.
Yeah, and then I just shimmer away.
Perfect.
Because I'm in I'm going to heal you and I'm going to try to run because this thing is going to eviscerate us.
So Glitch just got stabbed. Anders just stabbed them again and disappeared. Jabba and Zoe, what are you all up to?
It killed Anders too. I pull my gun and just try to shoot it. Just bang, bang, bang.
Are you using an ability or just shooting?
I don't have any combat abilities, so I'm just shooting with a gun.
Awesome.
With a flamethrower.
So you go ahead and make a merc roll for me.
Great, that's a 5 total.
On a D20, right?
Yeah. On a D20,
Okay, great. Cool.
Jabba 5 is really good this year.
That's just going through the goo body.
You hit it, but it just pulling off of this armor on the outside. And that we can smell the waste sizzling from the heat of the shot. Zoe, how about you?
Go gadget cargo net. So that's my auxiliary item, which has been on my person this entire time, kind of rolled up on the belt and fed into an arm-mounted, kind of just roller thing.
I'm good. Yeah, t-shirt cannon for cargo nets.
Yeah, exactly. Cargo net.
Future space t-shirt cannon for cargo nets. Absolutely.
Yes, it is practical and fun. At least that's what the magazine advert said, and I hope it wasn't a scam.
In Space Mall.
Yes,
Mall.
it's
Star Mall magazine.
Star Mall magazine.
It's why do we keep on ordering these magazines? We have to pay for the magazine for our spaceship, and then we order things we don't need out of it. Seems like we should just cancel the subscription, but you don't. You don't. So tell me a little bit about what you're trying to do. Are you just trying to tangle this thing up? Is that the attempt?
It has a lot of flailing limbs.
It does have a lot of flailing limbs.
So
it does have a lot of flailing limbs.
We're going for a little bit of a tangling strategy.
Sure. So go ahead and let's go ahead and make it a merc roll to hit this thing with your cargo net.
Sure. A 19 on the die +1. is a 20.
I love that. I love that. It's a dirty 20, so no recharge, but you absolutely hit it. Roll a d6 for me.
Okay. As a 1.
Okay, cool. So you do manage to entangle this thing. Like as it draws back all of its stuff, like you entangle it, but you can also tell whatever those swords are made out of, like it's already starting to like as the net hits it, like you didn't pay for the upgrade on the net itself. That's the problem. As the net hits it, like you can actually see that some of them slice on this, so you can tell it's wrapped up, but it's not going to last long.
Yeah, that's better than I could have ever hoped for, frankly. So.
Cool. So, Glitch, you were dead for a second. Like
Yep.
we actually actively saw like the lights that kind of bloop around your head. We saw those drain out for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we saw them like rush back in immediately afterwards. However, the sword is withdrawn. You can't do a lot this turn, but if there's something small you want to do, let me know.
Yeah, I think like Glitch get like the blade is sliding out, and there's like that kind of Bishop from Aliens kind of white
blood
slurry. It's just kind of
Bishop
leaking
slurry.
from places.
Mm.
As Glitch kind of unconsciously is kind of like bumbling out like error, critical error. I think once they realize they're not completely dead, are just gonna sort of gently roll like off the like platform area, like try and scramble to cover.
Cool. Yeah, you're able to back up a little bit, get to the other side of the platform. This thing is like you can tell it's like standing on the bottom of this vibro thing as it kind of now emerges to its full height. It is as not like the gargoyles were like big for you. This thing is twice as tall as any of you. This is a huge behemoth of a creature. It's got quite a long reach. Glitch, even though you've moved back, it could probably reach you, but your compatriots are mostly, you think, maybe Anders is or isn't, between you and it. And so with that said, Jawbone, you shot at it. So it starts making its way towards you. Go ahead and make 3 defense rolls for me.
Great. It's a 7, a 12, and 20.
Awesome. So it starts to spin around again. As it does, it hits you across the side, and you take a hit to your side. But you're able to then like dodge out of the way of the other 2 blades as it comes for you. You're going to take 1 hit of damage as this thing kind of closes in on you. What does everybody else do?
It just like sliced through the nets basically on the net on its way.
Oh shit! I totally forgot about the net. Jawbone, you get that back. It's coming towards you. As it's walking towards you, it starts to spin around and it slices through this net entirely. Anders, thank you for the reminder. I really appreciate it. But yeah, it slices through the net and it's standing free, kind of towering over Jawbone, looking like it's getting ready to strike. Y'all's action again.
You said we're in a silo, right?
It is a silo of silos. So it's actually like a bunch of silos around, like spread out around them, and these pathways that kind of crisscross over. Again, depending on what was in the silos, this could be a beautiful space. This is not a beautiful space.
How high is the station ceiling above us?
It is. It kind of. You can see like up into the distance, but it is a very long way up. So it is
Perfect. Great.
It is into the darkness up above you that this goes up.
Great. I don't fully know how this ability works, Tony, so I'm going to try something.
Sure.
I'm going to drop my slug thrower and punch this thing like full uppercut, and then I would like to activate my gravity control ability and try to launch it upwards.
Sure. This is actually gravity control is my favorite creative ability that we put in Through the Void. So
yeah, this is a sick idea.
Read the ability out loud just so I can remember what it is.
Increase, decrease gravity for level minutes.
Okay. So you are decreasing the gravity when you're punching this creature for this
increasing
creature.
it upwards.
Which do you want to do? Do you want to eliminate gravitational pull on it, or do you want to increase the
I would
gravitational
like
pull
to
at the top of
reverse
it?
its gravity and send it up.
Cool. And you're going to punch it at the same time?
Yeah. The punch is pretty unnecessary. It's just for Jabba to feel cool.
Yeah. I love it. You used an ability, so it happens, right?
Great.
Go ahead and make the punch roll
away.
for me for damage.
Okay.
As well as we'll use that generally to see how it goes. It's gonna work in some way, shape, or form, though.
So this is on a D20, Tony. I got a 2.
These rolls.
Here's the good news. Usability, you like go to punch it. You and you activate the ability. You activate the ability, and so like the punch just trails this thing. Everybody watching, those 3 babushkas, they stop, they look over, and they think that guy just punched that thing in the face and launched it through the air. It looks amazing. You know, in your heart of hearts, you didn't even touch that thing. You didn't even, and you feel shame. Javelin doesn't usually feel shame. You feel shame right now. As all of a sudden this thing is pulled from its top, flipped over into the air and tossed back like 3 silos back, because you sucked its gravity up and away for a moment, and so it's basically launched through the air a little bit. So yeah, it's switch back. You guys, and you say run. What does everybody else want to do?
That sounded like a good plan.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
My active camo, Tony, my question is, if I run, does it stop it working for the rest of the minute, or does it just like flicker out, and then if I slow back down 30 seconds from now, it would? Yeah,
so it's activating, and even with you moving fast, the way in my mind active camo works, though, again, anyone's allowed to you figure it out at the table, right? In my mind, because it's a slow movement thing, if you run faster, it's kind of like you watch it glitch and fractalate out. Like essentially the technology can't keep up with your movement.
Okay.
So you don't even become fully visible. You just become obviously, like it becomes obvious where you are.
Hey,
and if you're moving fast enough, yes, you'd look normal. But then if you stop, it'll resume its tracking.
Then I tear off running with everybody else.
So you head off running with everybody else,
I'm gonna
like
grab
glitching it out.
Glitch's upper torso, right? Because Glitch's legs are severed still currently, right?
He cut through one of his legs, yes. So we got to figure that piece out.
I didn't realize that.
Then I will boost up Glitch and be like, let's go, come on.
Right.
So y'all are tearing off through the station. The babushkas you can't quite tell, but you think they're clapping off in the distance. You don't know exactly what's going on as y'all head off. You pass a few other scant people as you kind of wind through the silos. You can hear like the crunching of metal behind you and big, thick steps as this thing is pulling itself back out of that silo and tearing across these waste silos trying to get after you. By the time you're reaching kind of the edge of this section, it has pulled itself back and is thumping along the walkway after you. Where are you headed?
Here's a question. Were those babushkas local to this station, or do they have a ship that we could totally legally acquire?
Unless you're going to go talk to them, you would have no way to know. There are the population of planets on this station.
Oh, okay.
There are ships aplenty. It is not like stealing someone's car. It is like stealing someone's home and job at the same time. Like people do it, right? IBA takes ships back from people all the time, and they're just left jobless and homeless. However, most ships are like shuttlecraft that are just designed for like interstation travel. They're not designed for deep void. And so like if you want one of those ships, those are a little bit more sparse, and you've got to figure out where to get one. However, still wouldn't be hard if someone say hacked into the system and looked for one.
Here's a question: does the station have like emergency escape pods that we're aware of?
There are emergency escape pods. They get used every once in a while, but mostly by teenagers who think it's really funny, who then get in a whole lot of trouble. Because if something happens to this station, there's not a lot of places to go that are habitable. And so the concept of launching out of an escape pod almost seems silly to people. So mostly what they're used for is teenagers doing dumb stunts. But yes, there are.
I mean, then I would be speaking from experience when I would said, let's go to the drop pods.
Can we like fly them? Did they just go out on their own, or could we like escape?
Don't worry about that. No, let's keep going.
You know what? You tell me what you want. I'll let you make a roll, unless it's really good, and then you just have it. Like what level of controls do you have on them when you've got one? Zoe, you've done this as a teenager. What is the level of control you have once you're in one of these things?
Close to none. Like you have some very basic inertial thrusters and no guidance or targeting systems or anything like that. So you could steer it, but like good luck, basically.
Right. Okay. So kind of just like very basic maneuvering thrusters to be like, I'm going to try to avoid that thing, but also if there's a lot of debris around you, probably not.
Like you better know where you're going.
Right.
Astrally.
So yeah, y'all can get to the pod. So y'all as you're going by, you're gonna come up on a bank of pods fairly quickly. They're between most of the ring sections, and so as you get up on one, you're able to get towards them. As you're coming up on them, y'all see a familiar figure as you're coming up on them. Though, like, and I will say actually, as you come up to one and you're looking inside of it. All of a sudden you look inside and that same individual that you found on the planet is inside of this drop pod, like this escape pod. And he's like peeking out and looking out.
You're awake? What? How are you here?
What? Hey, Mr. Rags? Mr. Rags is he's here, yes.
Do you guys know Mr. Rags? What's Mr. Rags?
Mr. Rags is me. Can I help? You help Mr. Rags. Mr. Rags help you.
Yes, we need to get off the station. We need to go. We need to.
Yes, Mr. Rags. We go far. Where will we go?
Away.
It doesn't matter. Just open the door.
Away for now. Away.
Yes. Away. We go in the pods.
Yes.
Yes, like the one that you're in, please.
Yes, you get in the other pods. This is Mr. Rag's pod. Like there's a set of pods. Like it is okay.
Right.
It is like a person pod. Like there's like a couple of 2 or 3 seaters, but then they're like they're mostly individual escape pods.
Okay, we're gonna cram into a 3-seater. I think all 4 of us. We're gonna get real cozy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on my own, and I'm wavering on thinking the pods are a good idea.
Let's go towards one of the 3-person, and we'll cram in there.
Cool. So you cram into one. Zoe, you fire. What happens when you hit the fire mechanism for this escape pod?
It's gonna give it a whole lot of momentum initially, and then just to get away from the station, and then it's kind of up to the occupants to. I mean, I feel like these are probably less like shuttles and more like we're getting you away from the station.
Yeah, so you get launched about 300 yards out away
your
from
location for rescue teams. Like
a planetary, it's like a space rowboat. Like it gets us out and then just putts around.
Yeah, you get launched, and you get launched about a half mile out from the station, far enough away that if it was going to explode or something else like that, you would probably be safe, but maybe not. Who knows? Before the thrusters kind of decouple, as you look out, you can like at one point you guys see as you're like spinning around, and your spin is faster than it should be. Like this is uncomfortable due to the fact that it's a little off weight from all of you being in here. You actually at one point as you're spinning, you see Mr. Rags next to you, like waving from his other pod towards you. What do you do?
Make sure that our pod is completely sealed.
You make sure your pod is completely sealed?
Yeah.
Are you saying that you make it fully secure?
Yeah. Just ensure that maybe let's try to find like the distress beacon that this thing definitely has inside of it and try and disconnect that.
Yeah, like teenagers go out in these things and they think they're really cool until they realize they have to call somebody to come pick them up usually. Yeah. Cool. You put out a you hit that beacon as you watch like Mr. Rags kind of like tumble off further into the distance. As you all kind of stop and you get a district chief, why did you launch a pod? Is everything okay?
No, everything is not okay.
I mean,
you would try to do an accent.
What do you
I mean, no, everything's quite unwell.
That was good. Thank you.
Is this what you
immediate assistance, please?
Is this one of those kids?
No, this is Bone Jaw. Madame Bonejaw.
Madame Bonejaw, what's wrong?
Yes, we were having tea time, and then a horrific beast with more limbs than a teapot emerged and attempted to kill us with many knives.
What? Are you talking about Zahn? No, he's a registered bounty hunter. If he was coming after you, he'd have a reason.
No, this one was golden.
Right, yeah. Zahn's big guy, lots of eyes all over the place.
No, well, I couldn't, Mike. Which one is it? Do we say yes or no to this one?
I mean, it sounds like that's the thing that was after us, but I mean, it's him, but we don't want them to think that there's a bounty on us, even though there is.
No, there's no bounty on us. None whatsoever. Must have been someone else.
Y'all realize you have to hit the mute button for that to work, right?
All right. Well, station protocol says that you have to come pick us up. We're at an escape pod. I'm getting you with that one.
Absolutely. We will come get you right away.
Great.
So you are being like, you see this kind of towboat come out, and it's kind of picking you guys up. It's slowly kind of pulling you along.
Wait, so do they let us into the towboat?
Do what?
Do they let us into the towboat?
Oh no, you guys like it. They attach to you. You're separate. It is bringing you back into a
dock.
dock.
I come down the towboat. I'm like, Blaze, we're running out of air in here. You have to let us in.
We put more people in here than we should have, please.
The oxygen, it's not lasting.
So as y'all get towards the back towards the station, all of a sudden between you and the station, there is a you see this that orb ship from the Arid Vast pull in between you, the towboat, and the station docking bay, and it starts to open up its cargo bay, and it starts to swallow you whole into the ship. It seems like a really good place to pause and stop for our session.
We got. Suffice to say.
I mean, taking the not navigable really escape pods was a very short term.
I was thinking we were still a towboat that came to rescue us.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
This is suboptimal.
So let's I'll give you guys a little bit of a post credits. Let's see. So as y'all are pulled in, we see they actually the people from the tug stop responding. Y'all were kind of faking being out of oxygen, but you're just left in the escape pod inside of this other cargo bay, and about an hour later, the air does start to get thin, and y'all start to black out. When you wake up, standing over you, holding Rascal in his hands, you see Mr. Rag standing there next to Zahn, the large spinning creature that killed you. As Mr. Rags holds him for a second, and then like blinks, and the creature disappears. And like the Rascal disappears, and you see Mr. Rags turn to Zahn and say, "That is all. We can let these ones go." Y'all are returned to your ship after the 24-hour quarantine period is over. Free to go on your way, but that's through the void using 13 hunters. Let's do our reaction roll. So reaction roll is a live stream. Within a live stream, it's our chance to sit down with the creator of a game that we just played and talk to them about that game. Today, we were using Through the Void to play with the 13 Hunters supplement. 13 Hunters is live right now over on GameFound. GameFound is an alternative to Kickstarter that I prefer. It's where we're moving a lot of the games for all of the games except for our itch funding ones for +1 EXP. We are really loving the system over there, the way that it works, and a lot of other pieces about that. but it is not our game precisely. We are co-publishing it along with nuclearobelisk, who is the designer, the creator, the author of the 1300 supplement. Nuclear, why don't you tell us a little bit about the game, the supplement, kind of why you created it, and what people can expect from 13 Hunters?
Sure. Yeah. So just there, you saw 3 of the 13 hunters. That was the whirligig, which is the spinning creature that definitely could have killed us, and I was expecting to just murder us all on the spot. The the gargoyles, which are 3 gargoyles that share 1 brain, that become very, very deadly if they are able to reach a consensus at random with dice rolls. And the locksmith, who is essentially a dimension hopping purveyor of fine goods and creatures. He is able to take 1 creature from every reality to line the halls of his personal treasure trove. So I guess Rascal was pretty good. He's a pretty worthy specimen. Yeah, so 1300s, there's going to be 10 more of them that are more deadly, and I would say those are probably the 3 of the, or at least with the exception of the whirligig, 2 of the less deadly of the 13 hunters.
Awesome. I was a blast running them and trying to figure out what y'all were going to do, as well as just I sat down this morning to convert them over from the supplement to Through the Void, and it took me like maybe writing it took longer than figuring out how to do it, and it's about a paragraph of text to convert each one to the system. So I have 3 lines of it for each of them, which are basically like their name, which one of my favorite things is it gave each of them a different name. So like, let's say somebody even has peeked at this, like Mr. Rags was the locksmith, which is one of the names that's provided because there's alternate aliases for each of them. Zwan was the whirligig, and then it was actually Argus Fargus Bargus Fate is what I called the gargoyles. And so but it was a lot of fun just kind of taking it and then saying, what does this look like in this setting, and what do they transfer over to? But it was maybe a 20-minute process total, and most of that was just me actually typing things out, not even figuring out what it looked like. But it was a super delight to kind of read through them and figure out what they were going to look like in this setting, because it is system and setting agnostic, so it'll work anything. I really encourage people to check it out, but you didn't come here just to hear what I thought. Let's talk to some of the other creators. I'm going to come to Sam last. Let's start with Simon. Simon, tell people who you are, what you do, what it was like to and what it was like to get hunted by 3 of these 13 hunters.
Yeah, I'm Simon. Once again, you can find me on Twitter at Lucha Libris. I write and publish tabletop role-playing games at colorspraygames.itch.io. And I thought this was super cool. I really had no idea what to expect from 13 Hunters. We saw some of them, and I really want to see what the rest of them are, as both a player and a GM. I'm always interested in things that give you these like toolkits of just like not even an adventure, right? But like I think of them as like play sets. Like back in the fun old days when you got like a weird diorama and a bunch of action figures and some accessories, and it was like, figure it out, do your own fun. Just like getting a bunch of action figures. This is like opening up like one of those variety packs. You know, like you go to a Walmart and there's like, here's 20 like space weirdos for you to mess around with. 13 of them. I'm intrigued. And they're clearly like there's a gamut of things to mess around with that we saw, like the like shared brain. I'd love to see them more in like a social context than just like the brief encounter we had with them. Clearly they're extremely deadly because I got stabbed in the gut, which was awesome. I love that. Yeah, I think each of those, it really felt like could be an entire scenario with just one of them. Which I think is ideal for something like this, or like even a whole campaign where like you're building up around this one person who's hunting you, and like what are the rumors? You hear about them, you see what they've done, or they're like they're samples of their work, and like, oh geez, we better not run into this person. Oh Lord, we've run into this person now.
Mhm.
How do we put that into place? So yeah, I don't know. I'm hooked. I wanna see more of it and mess around with it at my table.
Do you have any questions that you want to ask Nuclear?
Yeah. What compelled you to write a rogues gallery of space weirdos? Was
Yeah,
there like anything that really inspired you for that?
it's way less cool that there's really no story other than I had taken to drawing some like weird guys and like spooky monsters. I really love K6BD, Abaddon's webcomic, and like the work of like Mobius, those type of artists, and just I started one day like, oh, what if I tried to kind of emulate that style and figure out what makes that tick. Drew a bunch of weird guys. Wasn't really planning on doing anything for ZineQuest/Zemo this year. Got swept up into that very materially, and then said, you know what, these guys would be good for just a big smorgasbord of weirdos to throw at players in a good supplement.
So your artwork is in it. I didn't realize that. That's super cool.
And it's like everybody like it is the #1 comment. Dom's gotten tagged in it over and over again because like when I'm sharing it, people are like, "Oh my gosh, that art!" And I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't realize until like a week beforehand that this was all Nuclear's art. And so like I'm popping it back up on the screen for everybody to see the splash image of everything. But it's just absolutely gorgeous. This cover spread. And Dom, did you do Nuclear? Did you do the graphic design on the logo also?
Yes.
It's so killer. Like the whole thing is
that's
just so
slick.
good. So, but yeah, the art absolutely pops on this. So good. So
appreciate it.
Anders well, I'm like now in everybody's screen name. I'm like, I've just been calling you by character names for the last little bit. Reality no longer exists. Meet, do you want to tell people about who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, and what it was like to get hunted by 3 of the 13 hunters?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my name's Christian Sorrell. You can find me mostly on Twitter, unfortunately, at Elite. Actually, no, sorry, I just changed it recently. At MeatCastleGW. It's going to stand for Meat Castle Gameware shortly. And yeah, I just have a mothership pamphlet called The Mole on Polyrad 1, and I am currently kickstarting, also as part of Zemo, a Battle Royale hex crawl for compatible with Mothership, but has a frame around it that would work for a number of other things called The Bloodfields at Black Star Station. And yeah, with that, I mean, knowing that that's been the kind of thing that's been on my headspace, even before coming in to get hunted, this was already the kind of thing I was looking at when I first saw like somebody drop a comment about it, or I got a link to the page, because I'm already thinking of, numbers of teams of enemy contestants that hunt you and stuff. So I was like in that brain space of this. But yeah, I think it was really fun. I think the thing that was at least interesting in just from the session right now is there's something that I really like. I don't know maybe if people feel differently about this, like generally, but there's something I've come to really like about using the like system and setting free things in something that is not like in a more structure, like like Through the Void clearly has it doesn't have a canon, but it has its setting, it has its style, right? And almost always some of my most memorable like sessions, encounters, NPCs, right, come from pulling something that maybe wasn't originally intended for the setting you're in into another. And that was the thing that was really memorable. Like we didn't even really have a fight, I would say, with the gargoyles, right? But and even like I think I can see hints of them on the art, on like the cover art, but like Tony's sort of like reinterpretation of them to this like gothic, like cartoon show gargoyles vibe was like, that was so standout and weird for the setting, even though like just a scene before that we had like a Max Rebo tentacle monster. for some reason they still struck out as really like iconic and strong. And I also think Tony, you did something that is the other thing that I'm always interested in with, like you said, that you're saying, Simon, that like toolkit aspect of it is like Mr. Rags was essentially an NPC to us. Like I didn't even consider that was one of the hunters. maybe I should have, right? But I think that's the other thing too, that not having seen the full like text of the rest of it, that is also like the added utility. Like that's like, like you said, you buy the villain multi-pack and you're like, well, what if the villain was like what if he was on the good guy's side this time?
Yeah.
And that's so let me credit like very clearly, that is the way that character is written by him. Like I didn't play that character that differently from the way they're written, I don't think, unless I messed up the interpretation.
No.
But that's the locksmith, and actually it's really funny. So I put out voting, letting people say like, besides we knew the Whirligig was going to be in, what of the other 12 hunters do people want to see, and it was broke across 3 polls on Twitter. The locksmith was unanimously voted for by everybody on that poll against the other 3 that it was up against. I don't remember which one, but it's really funny because everybody just voted locksmith, and I didn't know what any of them were, but it's 100% like the most hilarious of them all. So a trickster demigod hailing from the orb of fathomless vaults, the locksmith scours a limitless horizon of realities in search of unique creatures, legendary artifacts, and other delectable loot to line the infinite halls of its impressive personal treasure hoard. The locksmith's only goal is to locate and extract specimens of worthy intrigue for his hoard. He keeps this a close secret while on the hunt, preferring to ingratiate himself with his prey by projecting wretched helplessness to garner pity. The song and dance makes his inevitable betrayal all the more enjoyable for him. And so, like, that's the care. I mean, like, I just said, like, you found this thing. But I mean, like, and I especially also did 100% nerf your ability to be like, he's tricking you by reading his thoughts. But like, he wouldn't have been dangerous until the very end, and only if he wasn't able to get to Rascal. Like, that was all he wanted was Rascal. And so there's reasons why he was there and all that kind of stuff. But it was really that was his entire way of getting into your ship once he saw Rascal was there, was have y'all find him on the planet and help him. So. That's how it was written, and it was such a great, cool thing to be able to be like, boop, 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 just seed in. And so
and so I think with that kind of variety of, it isn't just all here's a person with a unique like combat mechanic way to fight you. It's not just those purely interesting combat mechanics, which can be awesome and are interesting enough on their own, I think is really cool. And I think some of the other things, Tony, that you were responding to are things that I know I, as a person running a game, always love, which is like you said, like the other aliases and stuff. That all is like, that all has that, like, gives it that like Dark Soulsy weird lore feel of like you could have a different scenario where maybe 4 different characters talk to us about Mr. Rags. And we just think that's a different person. And then it's like, oh no, that's been this guy the whole time. Or they mentioned the Whirligig. And it's like, oh no, that's not Zod. Like the way that a lot of things will do that, where they trick you of like, oh, you didn't know their whole all their long list of honorifics. Right. So, and I guess my last thought is this is like, definitely feels like the latest in a list of things where I found where when it's art first, it just leads to such a cool interpretation. The thing that kind of comes to mind is there was a book for Mothership called Alien Armory that was the same thing. It was just like the artist made all of the art and then sent it to the writer and was like, figure out what these weird alien looking things do. Right. So there's something like when you said that, I was like, oh, I get that feel of like, I'm going to make some weird guys. And then the stuff though, that pulls from having that, like, you already have that artistic interpretation of them, I think is so interesting. Probably even more so since, I mean, do you feel like in the act of drawing, like of creating them visually, do you spend time thinking about like, oh, who are they? Some of this just naturally, or was it just like, I'm trying to make a cool looking guy?
Yeah.
And then, I'm saying this is a person who's not good at drawing things.
Like the thing that I think makes it an interesting kind of experiment in how we're ordering, like putting the book together, is for a lot of the initial ones, I had no concept in my mind that they were going to be bounty hunters that are played in a role-playing game. And I was actually just trying to draw a cool guy. And then having that context afterward, the question became, how do we, put accompanying text with this and mechanics that aren't treading the same ground that the illustration is, if that makes sense? So it starts to make a way more full picture of what a character can do. Like the gargoyles, have wings in the image, so I'm not giving them a fly speed in the stat block because it's clear they can fly because you see they have wings. That's just for a sort of superficial example of that. But I found that I've been able to get a lot more interesting stuff out of the characters by doing the drawings first and not even thinking about them as things that operate within a role-playing game at all.
Love it. Let's hop up to Sam Sorensen, and the reason I made Sam go last is not because they showed up last. It's because Sam is also on the project team, so Sam is going to be editing this resource. But Sam, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online. Tell us a little bit of what it was like to get hunted by 3 of the 13 hunters.
My name is Sam Sorensen. I'm a game designer and a grad student. You can find me online on Twitter at headofthegoat. You can find me at headofthegoat.io and various other places as well. Should the urge take you to check out my work, which I wouldn't necessarily advise, but yeah, getting hunted, it was exciting. It was thrilling. I didn't know which, like I knew some of these were further along in development than other ones. I've been starting to see early drafts of things, so I had like an inkling. But especially with the name shifts, which I hadn't thought at all about. But then even just the way that Tony, you were describing, like it took me a second, like, oh, these are the gargoyles. Like, oh, that's the whirligig. Like it took me longer than I was expecting to like piece together who each of these rogues were. The thing that struck me while we were playing them is one of them is that I appreciate, I mean, due to Jabon's shining moment, I'm doubly appreciative of this. But the fact that like these are horrifying monsters and the whirligig would have killed all of us, but it wasn't just a save or die, right? I mean, like it was briefly there for a second for Glitch, but
Yes.
but like it felt like all of these were challenges that we can't 100% defeat. If there was no way we were gonna be able to beat all 3 gargoyles in a stand-up fight, but we could cut their wires and run. Or like with the whirligig, we could launch it out of the way. Or with Mr. Rags, we could like distract him with something else and then keep going. Of like each of them has ways that you can at least avoid or sidestep or deal with them temporarily and then keep running. Which fits well into kind of the like system agnostic, more old school vibe that they fit into, and also into like the building tension of a bounty hunter. Of like the next time we see the whirligig, we're gonna be like, oh shit, it's the whirligig. Like, oh no, we've got problems. We have to keep coming up with plans and new suggestions and ideas. The other thing that I think Tony, you sort of touched on, and maybe we're sort of playing into somewhat without realizing it, is like I remember when Knobs was first posting these art pieces, and they were just like it was like, what is this weird monkey with a glaive? Like, why did you post this? Like, who is this guy? And the thing is, like, before any of us knew this was going to be a zine, before any of us knew this was for an RPG, I was like, ooh, it's a monkey with a glaive. Like, I wonder what that does. Of like everything in this zine begs, or doesn't beg the question, but it prods at you, it pokes at you, it gets you thinking of like, ooh, how would I use this? What would this be for? And then you read the stat block and it answers a few of those questions, but it opens up even more of like, what is this transmission? What is this stat block? Why do these skills mean? Like, what? Like, how do I use these? It's evocative and it pushes you towards, at least as a GM, and probably as a player running away from it, towards like coming up with your own solutions and ideas and answers and questions. And it's got that tingly thinky things of like, it gets my wheels turning every time I open the manuscripts.
Yeah. No, I love it. Do you have any, I know you've gotten a chance to look at this as more than anybody besides Nuclear. Do you have any questions you want to ask?
I mean, sure, I got lots of questions, but my immediate one is, I guess, how do you plan, and I say this both as a like, I'm curious as a customer, but also like for the editorial process, but I'll have to be doing at some point on this soon. Like, what balance are we striking in the how much is being revealed and how much is being kept sort of an illusion or a mystery or merely hinted at?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. It kind of depends on who it is that's being talked about. I really like the idea of like negatively defining these hunters. So the text of the book giving them constraints, and then essentially that being used as a pretext to set up people who are using it to think, oh, if these are clearly constraints on this monster, then anything else is fair game. And we're going to be working out from those rather than working in from like a solid stat block or anything like that. That concept was basically the design intent behind the locksmith. The other part of the locksmith's dossier is essentially a transcript from some non-specific council of ascended consciousnesses.
So good. It's so good.
The locksmith had committed some sort of crime and is being sentenced. And they put forth 3 basic tenets of how they're going to limit this hemigod's power. And then all of the locksmith's abilities are loopholes to those 3 tenets. So that's kind of the sort of thinking there.
Interesting.
That's why, like, especially when I was at a temptation to do a lot of things, but like one of the things that is specific about the locksmiths, they can teleport anywhere that it's sealed. Like, so something which in space is such an interesting concept because like most habitable spaces are for some question mark sealed, right? Like, so what does that mean and how is that interpreted? But it's why like you found him in a spot that was sealed originally, and you found him again when you got to a very small space that was obviously isolated, right? And it's like that. This is where they can be. Was such an integral part of how I was running them. It is so far the locksmith was one of my favorites, which is why I was just like happy to see like, hey, like this is the one like that everybody else was so intrigued by. And you like the stretch goal for this project is the locksmith's menagerie, which is like all the things he has stolen. Is that right? Nuclear?
It's the idea now is that it's kind of an escape room, I suppose, from the inside of the locksmith's endless reality of vaults and cages full of exotic animals from across, all horizons of possibility. So yeah, that maybe some strange beast generators can be found in there. That sort of thing.
Rascal can be found in there.
Rascal will be found in there.
So,
say that.
I had a blast running it and prepping for it. Like I said, it was very easy to like look through everything. Everything was really great. I popped it up on screen before. We do have one preview like spread. It's not finalized yet, a further whirly gig so that people can get a little bit of a sense of this. I don't have any questions about that. I do want to reference like I do want to echo what Meat said with like it is fun, especially in something like Through the Void, which has a setting but no canon, to take an absolute piece and then figure out how it fits in. So like for me, I was like, yeah, like we have a set of dilapidating planets that I can pull each of these bounty hunters from, and so the orb sphere is now the orb system. Like I'm just gonna port it over, and for me it's great because I got to, even without telling y'all like who is from what and how this all works together, like I can tease some of their ships and who they are and some of these other pieces, and kind of drop that in. And I loved that. I love that flavor of being able to try to figure some of those pieces out. And even like the book you found was essentially the locksmith's Pokédex, like for lack of a better term, like they had been traveling across the different planets, selecting things, and this was them picking up one more creature to add to their Pokédex. So Anders, you can add locksmith Pokédex to your inventory if you want to. But everything is so like I talked about this a couple times and I've posted about it. Like your Power Words supplement last year was one of the best pieces of design that came out of Zine Quest. It's one of the best pieces of design that came out of last year over on Kickstarter. I had no doubt this was also going to be a really amazing thing to look through, and I've been thrilled to actually get a chance to sit down and use it. Can you talk a little bit? I know we're gonna do a reveal in a few days on this, but talk a little bit about the dial. So you, instead of giving a stat block, you give a couple skills. You give some basic common like D20 terms to things to make it easy to figure out what it looks like in your system. But one of the really unique things, it's a very cool design concept, is the dials, which are these people can see it on the screen right now, kind of this graph of what people are good at. Talk a little bit more about that for me.
Yeah. So that attribute dial is talking or trying to define. This is something that every hunter has on their page. It's really the only common thing that is true of each dossier. It's because everything else is basically unique. Like they all have their own tables, and they all have a list of aliases. But so each of those points on that dial essentially define a different modus operandi for one of these hunters. So their strength obviously is one. That's the top one. But that skull down at the bottom left is called madcap, and that is their willingness to self-sacrifice in order to achieve their goals. How just like batshit they are, basically. So that's the sort of thing that I thought it would be a cool data visualization for it. It's funny you should mention the Pokédex, because that's actually the reason that ended up in there is because, God, I remember having an old like book. It might have been like a Prima strategy guide for like Pokemon Emerald or something like that, but it laid out Pokemon base stats exactly like that in that like dial format, and it shows like the polygon, and you can tell kind of like what's going on with each of them just by looking at the polygon. I really love that. And I haven't. It's not something that you see every day in terms of how to define a stat line. So
yeah, we have a game that is ostensibly, if we ever get it done, will be a gourmet kitchen dungeon crawler. So it'll be like it'll have, so if you look at any of the kitchen positions that are used in a classic French kitchen hierarchy, they sound a lot like classes for a dungeon crawler, like in unnervingly so, right? And so the concept was what it would be like if you had a universe where every kitchen that's a gourmet kitchen that was rated was also run by people, and instead of a freezer, they had like a magical portal that took them to different dungeons, and they'd have to go down and slay the different ingredients, bring them back up, and then cook them to kitchens. So anyways, that's a concept. But our stat block for that is the flavor index profile, and so you get stats, so and it is the same kind of dial concept, but it's something I love, and so like I loved when I saw it. I love it as a piece of also minimal and visual design. Like you can communicate a lot of information in that block that is not standard information you would necessarily, like physique could suggest a lot of things, predatory could suggest a lot of things, attunement could suggest, like all the different pieces can suggest a lot. And I even like that one of them is how bound are they by the laws of normal physics, like is another fun piece to have just thrown in there. So like I said, there's so much just sharp, very cool design in this, and I want to scream about it to people all the time. Like I think people are like, "Well, Tony, it's your job to scream about it to people like in this project," and it is. But I took that job on because I wanted to, not for any other reason. And so I just think it's been it's a tremendous project, and it was very cool to get to run, and it was very cool to get to hear some of the things people commented on in it as things I had specifically wanted to like. Like, because the reality is the person who put the bounty out on you was Mr. Rags. Like, y'all got back and he got out early, and he was like, he had already like Whirligig was already with him, and he just called in another bounty hunter. And so when he got taken by y'all, Whirligig followed y'all, and the other one got called in. And they put out a general call for chaos, but they were pursuing you. And yeah, it was fun to translate, like, okay, what do gargoyles look like here? But then even like using it specifically with Through the Void was so much fun because y'all got to paint what their ships look like, which then let me kind of reinterpret some of how I was going to drop them in to the setting. And that was a lot of fun. Also, like for me, like getting to see how those two things played into each other. Cause like I loved the fact that like the Arid Vast is a desert place, but deserts can be freezing. Like it means no liquid water, but deserts can be an absolutely cold place. And so a cryo desert is a very cool, different type of desert, but absolutely matches the feel of this like sealed in looking character, right? Like, that totally still matches exactly what the intent was, but flavors it completely different. So like in my mind, those swords are now made out of ice, you know, for Through the Void, not out of just metal, right? And so like there's just a lot of those cool things that watching the system interact with each other. I had a tremendous time. Anybody else have any other thoughts or questions that they want to toss out?
I was just going to say that I think the thing too, that not only is that dial, yeah, like that, it also makes me think of old video game manuals. That's like the last time I think I've seen it. But that dial too, I think, is the value of it is like it looks nice on the page, but I think the real value as someone running it is it. No matter what the system is you're trying to plug them into, it lets you know, like you're like, okay, strength, like physique, whatever that, like that one's the biggest one. Okay, I'm playing D&D, I'm dropping a 20 in that stat for them. Or, like you just pick it, if you know your scale is 1 to 6 or 1 to 10 or 1 to 20, that like in 5 minutes, like I almost feel like if my players were having a role play conversation, right? Like an inter-party conversation, I could be pulling that PDF up on my laptop and being like, okay, the whirly gig, okay, they're going to hit this hard, and anything that is like that quick to implement is always very helpful. And I think having your visual design complement that is great, because then it's like Tony said, it doesn't add to the prep time, it helps the prep time, which is key, I think. Cool. So that sounds great to me.
Yeah. To build off that, I think any time that you have a product that wants to be used, it's great, because obviously we books are meant to be used, but some of them will just fight you every step of the way in terms of like their actual usability. But when you have something that like is clearly, no, I want you to put this thing out here, and here are the basic tools, it's presented in a way that is very friendly. The user experience is very friendly for the GM to just like grab it and go. I think that's awesome that you have that it wants to, the creatures want to get into the world, all you have to do is just drop them in, and they'll create chaos on their own.
Yeah, one of the big sort of design tenets for the whole thing that I've held in mind the whole time is that I want it to be, I think the term that I put in the press kit is aggressively usable.
There you go.
Totally, just it's exactly what it's going.
Just like a bounty hunter, aggressively usable.
Yeah, and I think part of what Sam said about that, like it really gets your thinky bits going, is like even just Tony, what you said about the sort of backstory. You guys were talking about the backstory of the locksmith. I think also appeals to that of like that could just be interesting flavor of someone who appears and leaves. Like we mentioned Boba Fett earlier when we were playing. Like you could have it be the original trilogy Boba Fett, a cool guy appears and does a cool thing and goes away, or you could like set a whole, like the moment you talked about these gods that have placed sort of a higher like rules on him, that made me think of like a campaign where you find that out about him and he's chasing you, and you go, well, let's go find those gods. We're gonna go find the guys that are putting the rules on him, and we're gonna change, rat him out. So the fact that it can be a cool guy who shows up for a fight, or it can be potentially a whole series of adventures is also cool. And it makes me, as a person who likes running a game, go into that mindset is key.
Love it.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Before we go, you have to talk about the design of the book, the flippy flip.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Each hunter is just one spread. 90-ish% of the information, like written information, is on the bottom spread, and then the illustration is on the top spread. The reason I say bottom and top rather than left and right is because it actually folds out as an A5, like a dossier that or something like that.
So, I wasn't sure. Yeah, which is great, because I wasn't sure, and somebody asked that question of me, and I was like, I don't know for sure. Like the other day, and I was like, I don't know, but it should if it doesn't, and it might, because that's how Dom sent it to me, and that's cool. Because I think that's such a cool part of it, because it gives you everything all at once, right? And in it's weird when you I've got an extremist right here, right, which isn't vertical, it's horizontal, but there's something about the landscape spread, or even just the visual flip of this, that just for whatever dumb reason feels like way more information than this does, right? And technically it is more information, because you're not, if you want to get into gutters and layout and all that stuff, we can talk about that, but we don't need to. Technically it is. Practically it doesn't matter. But it's such a cool way to do it, and it does give you this immediate I know all the things about this person now at once. It's very cool.
It also conveys the feeling of like, if you're the GM, you get to sit there and be like, I'm flipping through, like you feel like what's her face, Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad, like you've got this like roster of rogues and you're flipping through the notebook of like, who am I going to deploy today on my Rolodex of monsters.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Any final thoughts, Dom? Any like, people who got hunted, anything you want to ask us?
I first of all, thank you so much for playing and all your kind words. It's great. I'm really happy about it. A lot of the feedback has been really good. So I really appreciate it, taking the time to be hunted, etc. Yeah, I got a lot of information out of that, actually. I have to tell you, like, this is kind of a play test for me too, just seeing how it is used, how it gets converted to a system, how it's, yeah. I mean, I asked you, Tony, before we started, how you felt about the conversion process, and we touched on that a little bit in our conversation. I'm glad to hear that
one other really piece of good information design I do want to point out, like the color coding on key terms is really solid also. Like, again, you just so many good things with visual design that are happening here. So a little bit harder to read probably for other people on screen, but like these color coded terms here just mean this is important, right? And it tells me immediately, like, that's why, like, when you guys were running from the whirligig, like how fast are you moving? That matters because vibrations matter. Like you being camouflaged wouldn't have done jack shit for it to know generally where you were, because guess what? Like it can still tell you're moving in that space. It burrows underneath any semi-loose material, sand, mud, trash, there it waits, right? Like, so the silos are a new segment that I built out for this encounter specifically, because I was like, well, they got to, like, storage is one thing, but like grain silos in space actually still kind of make a whole lot of sense. And that's a really good place on a station for the whirligig to be laying in wait for you. And it lets you bring up good classic trash pit stuff too, right? But it can create a deep pit trap, which I was telegraphed by like Jawbone seeing as you were departing the planet, something coming up from the ground, like the whirligig coming out. Anyways, but my favorite one for the whirligig is subsists on pure chaos, right? Like it's happy to just absolutely slaughter people, zero social desire, like nothing y'all can really do. And I love that it's an utterly silent, but also its skills are a mimicry and animal speech, right? Like that it doesn't talk, but it can mimic you and mimic creatures is a very unnervingly amazing piece for a silent predator, too. And so, yeah, just amazing pieces. So, we are just a few days into the Kickstarter campaign. It's going to be going through the end of the first week of March. March 4th will be the last day for funding. If you want to back the project, head over to ttrpg.link/13H. It's the only Zemo project being funded on GameFound. We are big fans of GameFound, but one of the big challenges there is there's not as many people who go there specifically to look for TTRPGs. So even if you're watching this and you're unable to back, or it's not the type of supplement that's going to be good for you, I'd still encourage you to back it because it's going to be great and you're going to enjoy it. But if that's not for you, you can't for right now, even just sharing it online with other people, sharing it with people who you know would enjoy it, that's a tremendous help for us. Again, you can go to ttrpg.link/13H to find out more about that. But we are going to be back sometime next week. I've got an interview with Bats on Monday talking about the slow funding he's doing over on his site. We've got Amanda Lee Frank, who is doing Crush Depth Apparition over on the Nerve site with Bat, coming out on Wednesday to talk about the end of her Bad Boats trilogy, because there's no boat as bad as the one that's already underwater, a submarine. And then on Friday, we'll have another set of interviews coming up with some amazing, great creators. We actually have Jay Dragon coming on to talk about the move off of Kickstarter to Indiegogo, and Zeba's Bed and Breakfast, which I think is going to be a tremendous game. It's one of my most anticipated games of the year during the day. And then the Tiny Tome Crew, which is an anthology of 50 RPGs. I just got an advanced copy in yesterday and have been looking through it. That's going to be happening on Friday night. We'll have some other games next weekend, but we don't have a good way to close out these streams. So we just wave at the camera until I take us offline. Thanks to all of you for coming and playing, and we'll see y'all next time. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.